recording.
Okay.
Conference recording started.
Let's see. One moment. All right. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Apologize for the issues with the what is it? Not issues, but people signing in and needing the passcode. We should have things ready ahead of time. But good to see everybody on. Tonight is November 12th, Sunday, November 12th, 2023. This is the first mass meeting for the month of November for the Dr. Julius Nyeri CBPM Division 421 in Atlanta, the division of the UNIA-ACL. First thing that we like to do in all of our meetings after we have our call to quorum is pledge to the UNIA flag. Let me get our Facebook going, and then I'll get that started. Okay. So if you would, for those that know the words, please say along with me. For those that don't, you can say it in spirit. And hopefully we get to the place where we all know the words and we can say the pledge together. If you would, I'll start it and just join me. I commit my body, mind
and spirit
to the protection,
defense, and security
of the red,
black, and green.
I dedicate
my life to the redemption of Mother Africa
and
the liberation of her scattered black children.
I accept
from myself and my descendants
the
teachings of universal African nationalism.
And I
promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people,
in order
that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
So all
black people are free and united
through
one God,
one
aim,
one
destiny.
Race first.
Race first.
All right. So we got through the pledge. After pledge, we go through roll call. And I want to make sure we acknowledge our officers first. So I'll go through a roll of our officers, and then we'll add on our additional participants. So for a roll of president, you have myself, Brother John. I am here. Lady President, Sister Ra Ebony, I see you are present. Treasurer Ross Marvin is present. Our first Vice President, Brother Macius, absent currently. Yes, he is. Second Vice President, Brother Kimwardo, is absent. Third Vice President, that should be Brother James. Brother James is absent as well. Sister Tania is our former Lady First Vice President. Currently, Sister Diane is training for that position. She is present. Brother Cornelius, Agriculture Coordinator, absent. Sister Erica, absent. Baba James, absent. And Brother Andrew is absent. Brother Art, I don't know if this one has Brother Art on there. Yeah, Brother Art. This one is not the updated one, but Brother Art, you are here on behalf of our secretary. So for the executive office, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Attorney Emotep, 6 members from the executive office. And we also have Dr. Shams, longtime representative, member out of Brooklyn, New York. We have Sister Jocelyn, representative and member out of Atlanta. Our brother Amun Maat Geb, longtime supporter Garveyite, as well as Nuwapian or Sabian here in Georgia. We also have our special guest, brother Heru Ranesi-El, representing the Moorish Science Temple, Temple number 19 here in Atlanta, Georgia. And we also have one of our young brothers, brother Eric McGee. So it makes 11 on the Zoom. President Ross, do we have anybody on conference line? President Ross, you there?
Okay, sorry about that. Not yet, President John. I was on mute.
Okay.
Talking.
All right, so we got 11 on the call at the moment. Hopefully others will join as we continue our meeting. Ground rules. Oh, man. I don't have the ground rules prepared, but for what I remember, make sure you take notes on any topics that you hear throughout the discussion, and save your questions for the end of the discussion. Please don't interrupt. Keep your lines muted when you are not speaking. Please keep your comments limited to 3 to 5 minutes if possible. We have several members on the call, and we want to make sure everyone has a chance to share. Sisters, do not give out your personal contact information. Give out business number or email, and don't use the N-word. Don't overuse profanity. We do save these meetings and share these meetings for education of our youth. So please keep our meetings clean and try to have fun. That's all I can remember from the ground rules. So that's our ground rules. And are there any questions or comments before we open the floor to our guests for this evening? Okay. One second. And Brother Heru, are you ready? You need a few minutes. I know we said 5:30, a little bit early.
No, sir, I'm fine. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Should I read your bio?
Sure, if you don't mind.
Sure. Okay. So please, brothers and sisters, please give your attention to our brother Heru Ranesi-El. Brother Heru Ranesi-El is united with the Moorish Science Temple of America in the year 2001. In the year 2006, he was elevated to the station of Grand Sheik and Divine Minister, while also being appointed as the Grand Governor of the state of Georgia. Having faithfully served these capabilities, Brother Ranesi-El has had the pleasure of doing community work, counseling, and arbitrating disputes in the community in which the temple is located, all from a Moorish American Muslim perspective. Brother Ranesi-El is married, having been married for 5 years with 7 children, 5 biological, 2 by marriage, and 4 grandchildren. Brother Ranesi-El and his wife have known each other since they were children, having met when they were both 10 years old. In Prophet Noble Drew Ali's holy instruction, he teaches, quote, take unto thyself and obey the order. Hold on, let me get some water. In Prophet Noble Drew Ali's holy instruction, he teaches, quote, take unto thyself and obey the ordinance of Allah. Take unto thyself a wife and become a faithful member of society. End quote. In the Moorish Science Temple of America, it is encouraged that men and women become married because a family is the foundation of a nation. Brother Ranesi-El is also a barber by trade, having been a licensed barber for the past 33 years. He also owns his own barbershop, Styles of the Now Moorish American Barbershop. He started a publishing company called Alhambra 19 Publishing. authoring and publishing 15 books on the Moorish American subject. He is also in the process of starting the Moorish American Literary Society, which will showcase Moorish American authors from around the nation, highlighting the importance of literacy and comprehension among the Asiatics of North America. Be it the will of Allah, Brother Ranesi-El will be a lifelong member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, assisting the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in his great uplifting work. Without any further ado, I will hand the floor over to our distinguished guest, Brother Heru Ranesi-El. Greetings, Brother Heru.
Greetings, family. Greetings to all. I rise giving all praises due to the great God of the universe, affectionately known to the Moorish Americans as Allah. Allah is the author, the creator, the governor of the world, the almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. All praises are due to Allah. Extend the highest of honors to his illustrious prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the savior of humanity. I extend those honors to his forerunner, the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nation. It was our brother Marcus Garvey that said, "Up, up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will." Extending honors to all past, present, future leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Extending honors to the Moorish flag and the American flag combined, they're which making us Moorish American. Extending honors to all things Moorish. Extending honors to all who are on the line. Extending honors to my brother, President John. My brother is a phenomenal leader and organizer. You all are truly blessed to have our brother in this particular division here in Atlanta to help organize the efforts of the UNIA. Let me say firstly, before I get into anything, man, I'm very ecstatic, to be here. The fact that we're on this line, it's always an honor for me to be able to represent the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but it's always a pleasure to be amongst our people, especially when it comes to us, coming together in an organizing capacity based on the institutions that were laid by our forefathers. So before I, get into, rambling on, the generalities of the movement and stuff like that, I always like to begin, to lay the foundation with our founder, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because again, it's no coincidence that I, as a Moorish American, am here on a call with the UNIA. If you've ever visited the Moorish Science Temple of America, you'll notice that when every speaker comes up to speak, whether it be that speaker be an official or just a lay member, you'll hear honors given, similar to the honors I gave. You'll hear each speaker after they give praises to Allah and honors to the Prophet. All speakers are required to give honors to Brother Marcus Garvey in the UNIA. This being the case because Prophet Noble Drew Ali was heavily inspired by the works of Marcus Garvey. Brother Marcus Garvey being, the first of us to start a mass movement, waking our people up to shake off, the ills of the trauma of slavery. So, we must give honors to Brother Marcus Garvey, we refer to as the most honorable, as we should, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. But at this time, I'd like to take a reading from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which was divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali, by the guiding of his father God, Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from the sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father God, Allah. If there's any good that you hear from me tonight, it does not come from me, it comes from the great God, Allah. If there's any mistakes or slips of the tongue or any confusion, place that on our brother Ranesi-El. Please do not put that on our prophet nor his teachings, and most certainly do not put that on Allah, the great God of the universe, for he alone is perfect. This time I'd like to take a reading from page 59 in our Holy Quran, which is titled, "The End of Time and the Fulfilling of the Prophecies." I'm going to read certain verses, just to lay a foundation on the position of Prophet Noble Drew Ali when he founded this Moorish Science Temple of America, kind of like the direction that he wanted the temple to go in and what he gave honor to. Thus, we as Moorish Americans give honor to. Verse 1 reads, "The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who is to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who is prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree. I'm going to go down one verse. I'm going to go down to verse 5. That the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Here's our position on our race politics. We as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. And, I'll stop there. So, the prophet was very, very big on, aligning our people with what already existed. There's no need to, reinvent the wheel. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was born January 8th, 1886, began his mission, began teaching in the year 1913 AD, in which I'll get into those lessons. But, he was moving around, kind of silently, organizing behind the scenes until around the year 1925. Between, 1913 and 1925, he was, kind of observing which groups, were moving amongst our people. By the time Most Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey hit the shores, of the United States of America, and started his organizing, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali understood that, our brother was, divinely prepared and divinely guided. So in his organizing and speaking to people, in the year 1913, he was affiliated with something called the Old Canaanite Temple. Many people, in researching the history of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, think that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali founded the Old Canaanite Temple. Actually, this isn't true. He was affiliated with the Old Canaanite Temple. When you get into our lessons, it says that, the Moorish Science Temple of America was founded in 1913. What that means is that the original thought of the Moorish Science Temple of America did begin during that time of the Old Canaanite Temple, but he was organizing and aligning himself with people that were trying to raise our people up. I'd like to go into some of the foundational, like the stages, in which we get into being able to understand the Moorish Science Temple of America as it is today. This is taken from a document called Moorish Literature, okay, which is a compilation of articles from the Moorish Guide newspaper, which existed during the years between 1928 and 1929. It was a bi-monthly newspaper that came out on every Friday, kind of, charting the progress of the movement. So this is an article from that. It's titled Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America. It reads, in connection with the aims, objects, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization covering its inception, rise, and progress, and of the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relations with mankind in general. I further most anxiously hope this brief statement will help you to be more clearly see the duty and wisdom of at all times upholding those fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization of our posterity, such as obedience to law, respect and loyalty to government, tolerance, and unity. We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois, November 29th, 1926. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Illinois. The object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and teach those things necessary to make our people better citizens. A national organization with a Rotarian complexion as it relates to branch temples became obvious with the increasing numbers of inquiries from men and women in different sections of the country concerning the purpose of the organization. There are branch temples in 15 different states at this time. This was 1928. Since the work of the Moorish Science Temple of America was largely religious, the organization has been changed to a religious organization, and an affidavit to this effect has been properly filed in Cook County, in the Cook County Recorders of Illinois. So in that particular history right there, the prophet, between the years 1913 and 1925, was traveling around the country, more so from the Eastern Corridor and like the Midwest. And as he went to various different states and, speaking to people and kind of like, organizing them on the thought that Allah had inspired him with, relative to, what his task was to raise our people up. He was also studying the legal structures of each state. Studying the legal structures of each state, he was looking for a particular thing that would grant our people a certain degree of autonomy to be able to demonstrate self-determination. He originally started in, like I said, in New Jersey. New Jersey's laws, were not suitable for that purpose. The prophet traveled, to many different areas. He traveled, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, all throughout Ohio. Then finally landing, many different places, Indiana. Then originally ending in, the Chicago, Illinois area. When he, got to Chicago, Illinois, and started researching the legal structure there, he found a particular law that's referred to as Heard's Revised Statutes. And as he began to study it, chapters 32 and 36 of that particular, legal document, opened up, his mind to like, yes, we need to establish our headquarters here. And, what it dealt with this, ironically, is 1 year after the prophet, established, the Moorish Science Temple of America under that name in 1928. 1 year later, the Catholic Church actually filed, the first time they filed in America to actually operate legally was under Heard's Revised Statute, in Chicago, and, by the way. And we see that, the power that the Catholic Church has in, the United States, so on and so forth. So, but, I digressed a bit. So, getting back to, the, structure of, the organization, we have something called the Quran Questions for Moorish Americans. This is something that actually, in about 25 minutes at our temple, we have our Sunday school classes on Sundays at 6 p.m. Would be, the temple will actually be studying this booklet here. But in the very beginning of it, I just like to read a couple things. Again, just laying more ground. We don't work on the prophet and the temple. So this is a question and answer. It's like referred to as a catechism. And each member is required to memorize each question and answer because it's connected to our Quran, and it gives the foundation of us religiously as well as a national or civic perspective. Going down to question number 5, starting there, it reads, who is Noble Drew Ali? The answer is, he is Allah's prophet. What is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. What is the duty of a prophet? To save the nations from the wrath of Allah. Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Noble Drew Ali. What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? 1913 AD. Where? Newark, New Jersey. Where was Noble Drew Ali born? In the state of North Carolina, 1886. What is his nationality? Moorish American. What is your nationality? Moorish American. Why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? For the uplifting of fallen humanity. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? By teaching them to be themselves, right? So, the prophet, he, by the time you get to the 1928 period, he had formed an organized structure, in order to teach people. Okay, now what are we teaching our people? We have what is known as the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine Constitution and Bylaws. These are the laws we live by, right? There are 7 acts of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and then we have 7 additional laws. So these 14 laws are the primary laws that we live by. But, Act 6 of said Divine Constitution and Bylaws says that, we are teaching our people, it says with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, Ethiopians, because these names were given the slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasting until 1865 during the time of slavery. So, without, burdening the floor, because the prophet told us to not burden his people. One thing he realized that we suffered from was identity, or the lack thereof. With slavery, which I know all the astute individuals are on this line, I know everybody has studied slavery in depth. One of the things that was, key things, two things actually, were taken away from us was our nationality and our divine creed. Now, our divine creed could be, you could look at it in a broad perspective as the various, religions or religious ideologies that we had as a people prior to, losing various different wars and, being taken en masse into slavery. But, it can also refer to the spirituality that we had. There's a stigma on the word religion today. So a lot of people don't like the term religion. They just like to say I'm spiritual. But, religion is merely the articulation of, spirituality, or the organized dogmatic structure of spirituality. So we're not going to fall out about that. But we definitely had a way of life that we lived prior to forcibly having to live amongst these Europeans. So, the stripping of the nationality was key to that, right? Nationality is actually defined as the quality or character that arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or state. Again, the quality or character that arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or state. So when you take, the various, let's say, I'm gonna use the word loosely, tribes, the various tribes of Western Africa, which, historians tend to say that, we come from Western Africa. When you look at the various different tribes, you're talking, the Mande, Mandinka, Fulani, Khan, Yoruba, even going further into the interior, the Congolese, so on and so forth, all have varying different cultures, different ways of life that were unique to their forefathers, and, it was their birthright to have that. No foreign entity should have been able to come in and to remove that from us. But because this happened, right, we have to start, looking at an intense, study of, international law, politics, geography, so on and so forth. When we begin to look at this, we begin to realize that the ancient world wasn't necessarily broken up into tribes. The ancient world was broken up into, nations and empires, not nations in the sense of the modern day nation state, but nevertheless, various different nations. So if we look at, let's say, the Soninke Empire or the Ghanaian Empire, so on and so forth, these were nations in their own right, right? The term imperial empire in that sense was used loosely. But when you look, in books written in the late 1800s, early 1900s, you begin to come across something known as the Moorish Empire, right? The Moorish Empire, when you really do a real diligence to it, actually covered all of northern Africa, the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, southern Europe, north, central, South America, and the adjoining islands, right? You begin to look at, various different things like, coincidences, I'm using that in air quotes, of history when they talk about, let's say, Columbus in 1492 discovering America, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But in 1492 discovering America, but it's no strange happening. It's no coincidence that in 1492, that also happened to be the date that the Moors fell from ruling Spain for 781 years. The Moors, left northern Africa, Morocco proper, and invaded Spain. Back then it was known as the Iberian Peninsula, and went in there and ruled them for a period of 781 years. It wasn't until that the Moors fell that the Europeans realized that the earth was not flat, went in our universities, found maps and globes, and so on and so forth, and found out about a quote unquote new world here in the Americas. But this world was new to them; it was not new to us, right? And Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he tells us this, these things, relative to the landmass of the Moorish Empire, that northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. At the end of Act 6 of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws that I referenced earlier, it says that the Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. And when you look at that, historically, you find out that this is the Moorish Empire, inclusive of all the tribes. See, the Moorish Empire was, kind of like a military, based, society. So, it was our forefathers who, operated and trained in various different martial arts and weaponry and so on and so forth. So, it was the Moors that, when we took over Northern Africa, we were responsible for running the European out, because it was they who came into Northern Africa and, closed the temples in ancient Egypt and so on and so forth, and, was subjugating our people in Northern Africa. So, by way of organizing around the thought of Islam, and we can get back to that later, around organizing the tribes around that thought, we were able to organize and run the Roman nations out of Northern Africa and chase them back to Europe. And simultaneously, once we made our way, over into Morocco, getting it where we needed to be in 711 AD under a Moorish general by the name of General Tariq ibn Zayd, took 7,000 soldiers and, fought an army of 60,000, defeated them, and conquered Spain and set up and introduced mathematics and science and, basically cultivated and civilized Europe. And made it, Spain specifically, and made it the nation state that people know today when they think of Spain. So the Prophet, was really big on giving us a historical context for our identity. The Moorish aspect, the word Moor, merely just means dark skinned, right? Basically meaning anyone with melanin, right? It's what's referred to as a supra nationality. You have nationality and you have supra nationality. A supra nationality, S-U-P-R-A, is a nationality that, it's broad and it can cover other nationalities under that. The term supra nationality came about when empires were on the scene, because, if you study basic sociology, you'll find that there's 5 divisions of humanity: family, clan, tribe, nation, and empire. And an empire is a conglomeration of nations. To touch on that slightly, Prophet Noble Raleigh on page 3 in our Holy Quran, he says, the industrious acts of the Muslims of Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are Moabites, Hamathites, Canaanites, who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In latter years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. And these are all African. So as you see, the Prophet Noble Raleigh had a very African-centered worldview. People get sidetracked because they hear the word Moorish, and they'll let people who are not affiliated with the teachings of Prophet Noble Raleigh to tell people or tell them what a Moor is, or what it means to be Moorish. We must remember, just like we give honors to the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey for uniting, all of our people, not just in America, but worldwide. We must give honors to Prophet Noble Raleigh for, starting the first mass Islamic movement in the United States of America. And, the first one to teach, en masse, the identity of Moorish American. And he says, why are we Moorish American? He said, because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. Are we saying Moroccans as Morocco proper today? That is not what we mean. The term Moroccan, as used by Moorish Americans, can be found in 2 aspects. One is the restrictive sense. The other is the non-restrictive sense. The restrictive sense would refer to, Morocco with its borders as you find today. The problem with that, as it relates to us, is that in the restrictive sense, those borders that are there, just like the borders all throughout the continent of Africa, are the result of the Berlin Conference of 1885, which 1885 was 1 year before the Prophet Noble Raleigh was born, where the Europeans, based on their colonial interests, separated Africa, separated the ancient landmarks, and renamed them, and kind of altered the cultures, to benefit things so they could get the resources out for themselves. So Morocco post 1885 is not Morocco when you're talking about, when the Prophet's talking about the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, who later became known as Moors, right? If you were to look at ancient maps, the study of maps is called cartography. And if you look at ancient maps of Africa predating the 1800s, you'll see what is known as Morocco, which back then was known as Marrakesh. You'll see the boundary lines coming all the way down to what you presently known as Nigeria, right? So all of that was considered Marrakesh, And, we kind of protected various different tribes from the European nations. And, we had a deal worked out, just like in modern day times, what nations do, in terms of protection and so on and so forth. Other nations agreed to pay taxes to the Moorish Empire, to the Sultan, which is the name of the ruler of the Moorish Empire, to the Sultan, as long as, the Europeans were kept out and to keep the peace. For historical reference to this, you could research, for those taking notes, a Moorish chronicler named Ibn, which is I-B-N, next word Battuta, which is B-A-T-T-U-T-A, Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta traveled all from Africa throughout Asia, just studying different cultures and, chronicling how they lived, but specifically throughout Africa and studying the different tribes and all throughout the Moorish Empire. So, you get a chance to see, some firsthand eyewitness accounts in that day, of, what the prophet was referencing when he talked about Moorish. So, that's dealing on the restricted sense. The non-restrictive sense would be relative to the empire of the Moors. Like I said, all of Northern Africa, the northwestern and southwestern shores, Southern Europe. We're not talking solely about the Iberian Peninsula or Spain, but we'd also be talking about France. We'd also be talking about England in a certain period of time. There's a book series, a 2-volume set called Ancient and Modern Britons, Britons, by David M.A.C. Ritchie, R-I-T-C-H-I-E. And in that book, David McRitchie, who was actually Scottish, of Scottish descent, nationality, he bears witness that, literally, quoting, there is never a period of time where we can see that the Moors entered what we now know as the United Kingdom. The Moors were always there, to the point where if you look at what land is referred to in England, it's referred to as moors. Like, instead of saying a tract of land or whatever, they say the moor of land. That's, because the Moors were the original land owners. So again, you get this type of history. And then, the American aspect, prior to saying this, I'd like to say that, to be inclusive of all of us, of late, when I speak to a broad array of us, because we've always been diverse as a people, I like to use the term, Afro-Asiatic and indigenous, because, the African presence has to be present, to be there, because we're clearly of African descent. But our ancient forefathers who were in Africa went all over the earth in ancient times. So, you look in Asia, there's a book, African Presence in Early Asia by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, and he documents, the heavy melanated people of Asia all the way through China and Japan and, so on and so forth, Vietnam, Laos. These were all originally our people. Then the African Presence in Early America, also by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. He talks about our people being present before the Europeans got here, because again, not all of us came by way of a slave trade. Many of us were enslaved already here. When you do the numbers on the slave ships that came from Western Africa, most of the bondsmen and women, because I don't like the word slave like that, because slave means Slavic, that's Eastern Europe. If you want to in questioning, we can get into that later. But most of the bondsmen and women that were actually brought from the west coast of Africa were actually taken to Central and South America. Even to this day, like the largest concentration of people of African descent outside of Africa is in Brazil, not North America, right? So, a lot of the brothers and sisters that were put in slavery were already on these shores. In Columbus's chronicles, he said two things. He said when he landed in 1492, when they got off, which they landed in Hispaniola, which is modern day Cuba. So they got off the boat and they heard what he recognized, because he came from Spain, as the Islamic call to prayer. And he looked up on a mountain and there was a mosque on a hill in Cuba in 1492, right? This does not fit the narrative that the Europeans talk about. He also mentions that they would dress just as the Moors dressed in Spain, when he was there, but that's a whole thing there. But, but this is dealing in the non-restrictive sense of the term Moroccan, i.e. Moorish. So, so that's that there. A couple things I like to go through just historically. I like to introduce, now that I've introduced the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws and the Additional Laws, the Quran Questionnaire, and the Moorish literature, which is our core literature. This is what is basically our primary literature. So when we do our research and our scholarship, because as Moorish Americans, we have to do our own scholarship. We firmly believe that we should not allow other people to tell our story. All right. If you look at the history of our people and attempt to study in America without a methodology of how to study it, you'll see that we've been written out of history. So we can't let foreigners tell our story. So, this is my impetus for inspiration for one to establish the Moorish American Literary Society. As such, I would like to showcase a few Moorish American authors, of which I am one, but I'm not introducing my books this evening. I'll be introducing some books from some of my Moorish American brother Sheiks. And Sheik is the word, Sheik means elder. And so the Sheiks are the leadership, of which the head of any temple is called a Grand Sheik. So, but this is a book, it's a phenomenal book here, right? It's called Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Savior of Humanity, and it's written by Brother A. Hopkins, Hopkins, Bey. He is the Grand Sheik of Temple number 11 in Philadelphia. This is a phenomenal book. You can get this on Amazon, definitely, right? Phenomenal book. I'll be getting into this in a second. This is another one entitled Noble Soul. This is our prophet, our beloved prophet right here. It's called Noble Soul. It was authored by Sheik Eric, E-R-I-C, Mungin, M-U-N-G-I-N, Bey, B-E-Y, right? Phenomenal book. This book, while the first book takes a more historical route, showing you how the prophet was moving and establishing temples and all of that, this book here gets more in the spirituality of it, so you can understand Moorish American spirituality. The next two books are called the Mukarrabin File. This was from one of my master teachers, one of my direct elders, who taught me, Sheik R. Edwards-El. This is a very thick volume. This is a part one of a 4-volume series, because we believe in, again, like I said, keeping our own history. Again, the Mukarrabin Files. This one right here, and this is volume 1. I also have volume, I think, 4 with me as well. That one right there, you'd have to contact the Sheik directly. Anyone interested, prayerfully, President John could, give my email to those who are on the call, and anyone who's interested in this or these two books or any other literature that I've referenced, can just email me and we make sure that, you have it. Or, you can take, stop by our temple. We're on Cleveland at 394 Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. But let me get into just a few things, so we can see how Prophet Noble Drew Ali was moving. Okay. I'd like to start in Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Savior of Humanity. I'd like to give just a couple quotes from the prophet, right? Relative to the Moorish Science Temple of America, is also known as the Moorish Divine National Movement, right? The Prophet Noble Drew Ali is reported to have once said, "This is no social organization. It is a divine and national movement. By you being here doesn't make you a citizen." He says, "Look at what I have done now. No, look what I have on now. It was handed down to me by the government. It represents the royal prince." Right? He's also reported to have said, "I've done more than you think. I want you all to help me, and by your good deeds of living at home and abroad. It is through your good and not with your lips, trying to be in the front seat of everything, always standing in my face. Be careful of your steps. Leaders of temples must be careful how they walk. They must be an example. I am not asleep. It will take you more than a long time to find out what I did today. When you all get home, don't start no stuff, for I will be right there." He's also reported to have said, "You stop figuring out how your salvation will come. Just follow me. You can say one thing, Moors. You have made a start for the kingdom. If you want success, you must follow the prophet. Husbands, take care of your wives, and families, wives, keep your homes and children clean." Right? These are what are referred to as the oral statements of the prophet. These are secondary sources. These are people who walked with Prophet Noble Drew Ali and, periodically wrote down things that he said. that they thought were impactful. These were compiled by one of our elder sheiks, another one of my teachers, Sheik D. Eddington-Il, who personally went around to surviving Moors throughout the 70s and 80s and sat in their homes. And, this is before that, cell phones and computers and all of that. And, painstakingly with a pen and paper, wrote down these sayings from these eyewitness accounts from these Moors. Very interesting. Brother D. Eddington-Il is a Supreme Grand Historian. And just to hear him talk about, what they had gone through during the lifetime of the Prophet and during the passing of the Prophet, because there was a great schism after the Prophet Noble Drew Ali passed. And the Moors pretty much went into a civil war, so that's a dark side of our history. But again, if anyone wants, has any questions about that, we can get into that. So I'd like to get into, since I'm on the line with the esteemed members of the UNIA, I'd like to touch on, and again, this is Prophet Noble Drew Ali's Prophet Noble Drew Ali's Savior of Humanity book. So in this right here, we're going to get into Brother Hopkins Bey covering Prophet Noble Drew Ali visiting Brother Marcus Garvey when he was incarcerated here in Atlanta, right? This is on page 55. It reads, so this is the section where he's talking about how the Prophet was on the road. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was on the road 80% of the time establishing temples. So it starts here. It says, 2 months later, the Holy Prophet set aside temple number 4 in Detroit, Michigan on October 1st, 1927. This was also the year in which Brother Ranesi-El, I'll come back to that name, first Grand Sheik of the MSTFA, joined the Moorish Science Temple of America. Lomax Bey was second in command under the Prophet at that time. It was then that the Holy Prophet dispatched Lomax Bey to head the Detroit Temple, and Brother Ranesi-El was then being groomed to procure the number 2 position under the Prophet. Also in the month of October 1927, the Holy Prophet Drew Ali was guided by Allah to visit the forerunner Marcus Garvey while he was housed in the Federal Correctional Institution in Atlanta, Georgia. This encounter reveals the fact that they met on numerous occasions. This encounter has been documented by the Chicago Defender newspaper, for those, again, taking notes for historical. And I think that the members of the UNIA should write this resource down and research it, all right? We're not big on, because this is the Moorish Science Temple of America, so we're not really big on espousing things and people not being able to reference and research it. So again, that was the Chicago Defender newspaper, all right? The date was November 19th, 1927. An easy way to do that is go to newspapers.com, set up a subscription. You can get access to all newspapers, as far as back as the 1800s, up to the current date. And just type that newspaper and the date in, and the article will come up. And the article is titled, Noble Drew Ali Returns After Long Visit South. So this is the Prophet. The Prophet had went on tour. He made 2 nationwide tours, while he was, in the physical form. And this is after his second visit. Actually, this was the first visit, the first tour. It reads, Noble Drew Ali, Prophet, founder and head of the Moorish National Divine Movement, has returned to the city after an extended visit in the South. Prophet Ali motored from Chicago to Atlanta, Georgia, where he spent a few hours visiting Marcus Garvey in the federal prison. Mr. Garvey was very much pleased with the splendid uplift work being done by the Moorish Divine Movement. The organization has launched a drive for more members. Persons desirous of learning of this great work, of the great work that is being done, are asked to write Prophet Ali, 3603 Indiana Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, phone Douglas 5905. 3603 Indiana Avenue was Prophet Noble Drew Ali's home address, right? This article is interesting because this was not written by Moors. This was written by an Asiatic newspaper. Again, Asiatic is the title, name, the general term that we use for people that were falsely labeled Negro, Black, and colored. But this was an Asiatic newspaper based in Chicago, who took interest in all the work that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was doing in Chicago. So anytime the Prophet was doing something, they would come out and document it and so on and so forth. So it's a good, third party but neutral resource, because they didn't really have a vested interest in what our forefathers were doing, but they thought it interesting. It was interesting because it was helping our people. All right. So that's that. And then here on these 2 pages here, we have you definitely won't be able to see it. I know it's blurry, but I can email this postcard to President John, and this postcard was a postcard from the prison that our brother, Most Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, was at, and this postcard was sent by Prophet Noble Drew Ali to his wife, Sister Pearl Drew Ali, and this was on 10/23/1927, and from Atlanta, Georgia. It says, "Dear wife, I have been to see Mr. Garvey at the federal prison. I will be home Friday or Saturday. Love to all from your husband, Noble Drew Ali." And that's that there. An interesting part about the name, let's get into the prophet's name, Noble Drew Ali. Let's get into his name, period. So it was handed down by the Moorish elders that the prophet's birth name was Timothy Drew, right? This is what was taught. Through historical references, right? When you research the prophet, like if you go to look up his birth certificate, so on and so forth, you won't find anything under Timothy Drew. What you'll find is something under the name Thomas Drew. Okay, from there you'll get his draft card, birth certificate. You'll get the early history of when he was in Newark, New Jersey, newspaper articles pre-prophethood, because he did not declare his prophethood until December 18th, 1925. He made a prophecy, said that the star and crescent will appear in the sky on December 18th. He said, if it doesn't appear in the sky, I'm not a prophet. And December 18th, the star and crescent appeared. And December 19th, the Chicago Tribune newspaper, again, another third-party resource, documented, that the star and crescent appeared in the sky in an article entitled Star and Crescent. But anyway, getting into his name. So, Prophet Noble Drew Ali used many names, as he traveled in those days, working to uplift our people. So, the inquiring mind might ask, well, why did he use many names? We have to remember that he was organized in the 1910s and the 1920s. This was a dangerous time, for Asiatic people as a whole. You had race riots and so on and so forth. It was a race riot here in Atlanta, during that time period where, people or Asiatics were hung, those that are familiar with Atlanta, that were lynched all the way from Peachtree on coming down Auburn Avenue, from Peachtree Street all the way down Auburn Avenue from the light poles, So this is a very dangerous time. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali used the name when he was in Newark, New Jersey. He went by Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept student. All right. He had a card that he circulated. The address of that card was 181 Warren Street, in Newark, New Jersey. And, on that card, the prophet was also about a lot of healing of our people, because our people were physically sick. It's almost impossible to raise a people up mentally if they're physically sick, And in those days, you had a lot of tuberculosis and polio and all these different things. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali, being born in the state of North Carolina, was also born on a Cherokee reservation, as handed down by our elders. So he had a lot of elders, a lot of indigenous type, remedies, that he would impart to our people and actually heal them. This resulted later on in 1928 in the organizing of what was referred to as the Moorish Manufacturing Company, and this produced the prophet's remedies. There was a herbal tea, a mineral oil, bath salts, so on and so forth, all of which are still available today. I take it myself. The prophet said, I can cure you of anything that you weren't born with. But in those days, in New Jersey, when he was doing these things, he went by the name Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept student. He was also known as Dr. Drew, right? When he, organized the Moorish Temple of Science on October 15th, 1925 originally, but incorporated on November 29th, 1926. If you look at the documentation of that by way of the Cook County in Illinois, you'll see that he signed his name Drew Alin, A-L-I-N. He didn't use the name Ali until after he visited Brother Marcus Garvey. After then, it was almost like, he looked at himself as receiving a blessing from Brother, Marcus Garvey to do his work. Again, showing that he held, Brother Marcus Garvey in high esteem. If I happen to slip and call him Marcus Garvey the forerunner or the harbinger, which just means forerunner, that's just what we refer to him in the temple. So, just for, notice sake. I'd also like to draw from in the same book, Noble Drew Ali, Savior of Humanity, pages 46 and 47, which deal on that same topic. Okay. It says, there's been much controversy surrounding the usage of the name Drew Allen instead of Drew Ali. To give explanation for this anomaly, I first offer information from a past scholar of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother C. Ranesi-El. May Allah be pleased with him. This astute brother was in the flesh when there was many Moors around who walked with the Prophet, the Holy Prophet. Therefore, consulting with those Moors while conducting his own research, he produced a question and answer booklet which delved into the core teachings of the Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. This author offers a few of the questions and answers to explicate, quote unquote, Drew Allen, A-L-I-N. And the question begins as, says, did Allah, whom Marcus Garvey spoke of, stir his Messiah to renewed activity? Answer, yes. Did Timothy Drew reappear? Answer, yes, but not as Timothy Drew, but as Drew Allen. When and where did he appear? Answer, 1923. He began to anew his mission in Chicago, Illinois, on the south side as Drew Allen. Why as Drew Allen and not as Timothy Drew? Answer, it was a means of deception, hiding his true identity and mission until the inspirer opened the way. Now remember the term inspirer, okay? It says the inspirer made reference to above was none other than Marcus Garvey. So to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and to the Moorish Americans, and to the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother Marcus Garvey is looked at as an inspirer. We uplift Marcus Garvey, right? Says, again, the inspirer made reference to above was none other than Marcus Garvey, whose sole job was to prepare the way for the coming of the holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Marcus Garvey's mission was accomplished, and the following year, after the initial incorporation in 1927, when he was imprisoned and subsequently deported. Consequently, in 1926, Marcus Garvey, in spite of everything, doing his own job of warning the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet. All right. Then it just talks about the prophet of Noble Drew Ali. Although the prophet of Noble Drew Ali had been confirmed in 1925, the Holy Prophet did not reveal himself by name officially, publicly on government documents until Marcus Garvey's task was completed. All right. And I'll cease there because it goes into something different. So, this is a, it was a divine, I know it might not look like the ordeals and the persecutions that Brother Marcus Garvey went through were divine, right? But anyone sent to our people, from the great God of the universe, again, the Moorish Science Temple of America, we are a religious organization. So that's the perspective that I have. We're also a civic organization too, but, but in our whole, in our, surface aspect, we're religious. So anyone that's sent to our people by the great God of the universe is going to be tried. The Holy Quran of Mecca says that, do you think that say that you have faith and not be tested? So all of the great ones, Brother Marcus Garvey was definitely tested. Who was he tested by? He was tested by the people who he was sent to. Was Prophet Noble Drew Ali tested? Yes. He was tested by the people that he was sent to, so there was there's a interesting history there. And I'll say this in closing before I yield the floor. I would like to say that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, by the time 1928 had come, again, now we come from 1913 to all the way down to, 1925, 26, when he legally incorporated, all the way down to 1928. In May 1928, he filed an affidavit to change the name of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science to the Moorish Science Temple of America, because the ultimate purpose of the organization had changed. Why did it change? The Prophet says our problems are largely social and economic, but in a more profound sense, but in a profound sense, they are moral and spiritual. And it's because of those moral and spiritual problems that we have that he saw the need for our people to have a spiritual way of life, i.e. a religion. And, he went into the primary religion that governed the empire that our forefathers last ruled prior to slavery, and that was Islam, all right? But not an Arabized Islam, right? the Islam the Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us is inherently Moorish, American. You know, we pray, we believe in one God, we share many of the same tenets that, you know, Muslims and all over the world, you know, practice, and we're not isolated from that because we're a part of that. But at the same time, we have our own culture and tradition. Really quick, Islam is unique in that wherever it goes to, it adapts itself to the culture of the people that it goes to. So Islam in China looks inherently Chinese. Mosques that are built in China don't look like Arab mosques. They look like Chinese, you know, architecture. Same thing with Japan and so on and so forth. Same thing throughout Africa, whatever. But anyway, coming back down to 1928, he files the affidavit to change the name. He holds a special meeting, and the evidence of the special meeting can be found on the back of the Quran questionnaire, right? Right on the back of this document, right, is what's referred to as our authority. This is the actual affidavit that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali filed in Cook County to change, you know, the Moorish Temple of Science to the Moorish Science Temple of America, and to appoint new officials. The reason why he had to appoint new officials because he found out there was a plot to overthrow him and to basically take control of, you know, the organization. You know, as a result, the Prophet started an investigation and found out that some of the top officials that were in the Moorish Science Temple of America, you know, were responsible for doing heinous things, such as stealing of finance while he was on the road, making inappropriate gestures towards his wife, all these different things. So, you know, it was a lot going on. So, you know, he called it what was referred to as a special meeting. And, you know, which I'm quite sure, you know, you all are familiar with parliamentary law, because I see how the meeting is being governed today. In parliamentary law, when a special meeting is called, there's a particular item or whatever the number of items are on the agenda, and there's nothing else that's to be discussed except that one or two or however many items. The particular, you know, item that was on the agenda for this special meeting was the changing of the mission statement of the Moorish Science Temple of America, as well as appointing new national leadership. Okay, so this was the special meeting was called July 20th, 1928. Ironically, not ironically, because, you know, we have a teaching that said it is not strange, there are no happenings. The law governs all events. 1 year to the date of July 20th, 1928, you come around to July 20th, 1929, Prophet Noble Drew Ali passed to a higher life at the age of 43. You know, there's a lot of theories on that, which I kind of stay away from that, which cannot be proven. But on his quote unquote death certificate, it says that he passed from tuberculosis, right? So, you know, that's that. But there was a lot of things that took place during that time. You know, again, last thought, once he found that everything was going on, he came back off the road. Some people had, you know, taken all his office equipment and everything, threw it out on the street. And, you know, it actually, you know, a war ensued while the Prophet was alive. The Supreme Grand Business Manager at the time was a brother named Claude Green Bay, who was a master political organizer. He was the one that was, you know, responsible for helping the Prophet obtain 3140 Indiana Avenue, or a space in there for the Moors to meet. 3140 Indiana Avenue, which was called Unity Hall, was a home to numerous groups, the Elks, the Prince Hall Masons, a lot of civic associations. They were all in this one building, and they were doing phenomenal work in the city of Chicago. During the first annual convention of October 15th through 20th, 1928, historians argue between whether it was between 3,000 and 5,000, but I'll err on the conservative side. 3,000, Moorish Americans gathered together and did a parade on October 17th and marched through the city of Chicago. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is reported to have said that our nationality officially began with the parade because it was the proclaiming to the world, that the Moors have returned and we're here to take our place, our rightful place in the affairs of men. But during that time, it was found out that Brother Claude Green Bay was very complicit, along with the Grand Governor of Detroit, who also happened to be a Supreme Grand Council member, Brother Lomax Bay. Very complicit in turning their backs on the Prophet and stuff like that. Brother Claude Davis was actually murdered in Unity Hall. He was stabbed numerous times and disemboweled, on the second floor in the building. This assassination, which the prophet did not order, people took it amongst themselves to do this, started a schism within the movement that will ultimately lead to 3 lineages that exist even to this day. So so that's pretty much that. I know I covered a lot of things. President John didn't give me an allocated amount of time, but at this time, what I would like to do is to yield the floor, and if it pleases the president, we can open up the floor for questions. And as a friend and servant of humanity, I'd be glad to answer any questions on what was covered or anything that was not covered relative to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the Moorish Divine National Movement. At this time, I yield the floor back to President John. Peace.
Thank you, Grand Sheik. And yes, you are absolutely in alignment. We want to move to questions or comments that any of our members have on Grand Sheik's presentation in regards to the Moorish Science Temple of America. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
I got 2 at one time. Let's defer to our elder, Dr. Shams. You have the floor.
Yes. I noticed you bypassed, well, unintentionally, of course, the Asiatic Covenant, and also to break it down of when they say in the First Amendment of the Constitution that we're 3/5 of individual. We're actually 5/5, but you didn't cover that point yet. I say yet because you're not finished. But hey, pretty good lecture. I like to commend you on that. You have a lot more knowledge than I ever could run across. Yes, brother. Yes. Thank you very much. Islam, race first.
Islam, thank you, Dr. Shams, race first. Yeah, that really wasn't a question, more of an acknowledgement. And the other, someone else had a question?
Yes, I had a question. Race first.
Brother Quillen, what's going on?
What's up, brother John? How you doing?
Doing well. Good to hear you, my brother.
Islam Sheik, how you doing, brother? How you doing, Grand Sheik?
You on mute, Grand Sheik. Grand Sheik, you on mute.
Pardon me. Islam, good to hear you, my brother.
Good to hear you too, brother. I had a question. I was wondering, were there any recorded conversations between Marcus Garvey and Prophet Noble Drew Ali? And also, many of the Prophet's speeches or lectures or talking points on tape or maybe on video that we could be able to see? And also, if he did talk about any teaching points, were Marcus Garvey and Prophet Noble Drew Ali, were they teaching each other, or was Marcus Garvey more teaching him?
Okay, peace, my brother. Race first, Islam. Okay, so firstly, I'd like to deal with this. No, they're as of yet, I know some serious Moorish historians. There are no audio or video of Prophet Noble Drew Ali that we know of. Now, let me explain what I mean that we know of. So what we know as the counterintelligence program, founded by J. Edgar Hoover, helped developed by J. Edgar Hoover, was let's say this: J. Edgar Hoover got his start with learning how to destabilize Asiatic organizations by way of dealing with the UNIA and the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? So a lot of the things in terms of moles and plants and provocateurs and saboteurs and all this coming in to destabilize our 2 beloved institutions. This was this was a big thing, but you have to remember there was no precedent for it, right? If it wasn't for those, Europeans that raided that FBI field office, we still wouldn't know that the counterintelligence program, was going on, right? So definitely not in 1920 anything or the 19 teens, we wouldn't know. But what I mean is, as of yet, is that there's a lot of things that are still surfacing from the prophet. I'll give an example. There was a picture of a prophet. He's standing there, and he has two flags. So he's holding the Moorish flag and he's holding the American flag. He's standing there with his legs crossed, and he has on what looks like a sombrero, but it's actually called a Panama hat that was given to him by the people in Mexico when he visited to represent the Moorish Science Temple of America in Mexico, also when he was in Cuba. But anyway, this particular incident, that picture didn't resurface until the 80s. So after the schism that took place and the Moors beginning to war amongst one another or whatever, everybody took what they had and went underground, right? So, if you weren't connected directly to those three lineages, you didn't have access to a lot of Moorish information, right? It wasn't until the 80s when Moors started coming back, as the war amongst the Moors began to subside around the mid 70s. Moors began to coming out and so on and so forth, coming out in terms of, back in society with their fezzes and turbans on and whatever, and began to start kind of sharing information or whatever. And this picture of Noble Drew Ali in Mexico popped up to the Moors, the young Moors in the 80s. And they were like, well, where'd this come from? And then their history began to come out. Also, a phenomenal resource would be, if you're curious as far as finding documentation of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I'll give you two resources. One is the Schomburg Library, and I think it's in Harlem, New York. The Schomburg Library is a quote-unquote African-American library, that resources everything concerning movements and everything that were done here, not just the Moorish Science Temple of America, but the UNIA, Nation of Islam, so on and so forth, Hebrew Islam, all of that, right? This is where the copies of the Moorish Guide newspapers that I have, that's where I got that from, right? We have, a significant number of Moorish Guide newspapers from the time of the Prophet that I got from the Schomburg Library. One of my brother Grand Sheiks, Sheik Ranesi-El of Temple 9 in Newport News, Virginia, often frequents the Library of Congress. And he shared with me a number of things from the Library of Congress that are, concern the Moorish movement. All of the Prophet's works are there in terms of the Quran, the things I referenced earlier. And then, these ironically, these high definition, high def photographs, which I'm quite sure they took the old photographs and digitized them or whatever. But they have these photographs of all different type of historical things, all the way from the late 20s all the way, to current day, right? So with those two resources, you can find a plethora of information. Also, and yes, those are the lineages, Brother Emilio, Charles Kirkman Bey, and Brother Givens-El. And I can get it, if anybody has any questions about those, I can get into those. I descend down from the Emilio lineage, right? But we honor all. Similar to One God, One Aim, One Destiny, as you can tell, Prophet Noble Drew Ali was influenced by, Brother Garvey, Mr. Garvey. We have one Allah, one Prophet, one temple, right? So the goal is to, reunify things and get things back to where the Prophet had it on the original foundation, right? But that answers that question. But I'd like to go back to the brother Shamsel Bey. He did ask two questions, and one was in reference to, if I may, President John, may I answer those two questions?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. He asked about chapter 25, which is known as the A Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Again, this is found in chapter 25 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And just to put it in the record, because I know this is being recorded, Prophet Noble Drew Ali knew that we, having had everything taken away from us, we lacked a code. See, a code it's like a mantra that, makes us cohesive as a nation, okay? So I'd like to go to this and read this really quick, all right? And it reads, A Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, ye are the children of one father provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you such. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. So this is the code that we live by, but not just as Moorish Americans. I want to be specific. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali referred to our race as Asiatic, but he referred to our nationality as Moorish American. So in terms of the race, right, he referred to all of us as Asiatic, right? Something I'd like to also read really quick before I deal with this 3/5 question. Okay. There's an article entitled "The Voice of the Prophet" found in Moorish literature. And I'm just going to read the opening paragraph. All right. It says, if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have the power to redeem your race because you will know who you are and your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. There we stand, pardon me, together we stand, divided we fall. Now, which I know I'm preaching to the choir on this one, but if you know the Most Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the terminology race pride and loving your race, that's Marcus Garvey all day long. So in that article, he opened up with a statement throwing back to Marcus Garvey, right? And then he, basically mentioned the Moorish Science Temple of America, just denoting the fact that the Moorish Science Temple of America is here to do similar work along with the UNIA, not against the UNIA. All right. So that's that. Now the 3/5 clause. Okay. First, let me give a little constitutional background. The Moorish Americans are not against the American Constitution. There's a reason why. Prophet Noble Drew Ali referred to the American Constitution as one of the greatest documents ever written, right? Why do you say that? This doesn't have anything to do with the Europeans. The European nations did not found the American Constitution. I know that might sound strange to most. If you research what is known as the Iroquois Confederation, Iroquois is I might jack this up, IRIQUOIS Confederation. It was a confederation of 6 what the European called tribes, but were 6 nations. See, prior to the European coming to America, to the Americas, specifically the United States of America, there were various different nations already here, right? This is the ones that they call the Native Americans, but in that day, there's a book, and this is not a Moorish American author, hence the title. There's a book called Black Indians. But if you read, get this book, it does a great pictorial demonstration to show what the Cherokee and the Choctaw and the Seminole, what they look like. They look like us on this call right now. Many of you, if you go back in your ancestry and ask your grandmother, where did we come from? Islam, somebody put the Haudenosaunee, and which is what they was also called. The treaty was actually called the Law of the Great Peace. The Haudenosaunee was the name of the confederation. All right, pardon me. All right, so in that, and all you have to do is Google American Constitution or U.S. Constitution, Law of the Great Peace, and they give you the whole history and the direct parallels between the American Constitution and that. Also research William Penn, who Pennsylvania is named after, William Penn and the Iroquois Nation, William Penn and the Law of the Great Peace. And what you'll find is William Penn was actually brought in by the Native Americans and taught what a republic was. Yeah, remember the Europeans that came from the original colonies from England, they were, they were subjects under a monarchy. They didn't know anything about a monarchy, which is representative government. They knew nothing of this. So basically what happens is, they inducted, William Penn as a lesser initiate, first taught him the language, then taught him government, and when you research these government, you had, first of all, you had women a part of the government. This is 1600s and back, right? So this is not new to us. We didn't have a patriarchal thing over the women and all that. No, I think it was very balanced. But you had people who represented, the will of the people. This is the same way the Constitution reads. Coming to Brother Shams Al-Bay's question, the 3/5 clause. The 3/5 clause was, okay, you take slavery, okay, they brought all the slaves in, right? So at a certain point, the Northerners, Europeans, outnumbered the Southern Europeans, right? So the Southerners came up with an idea. They said, okay, what if we counted all of the slaves, which at that time, bondsmen, at that time, which were not considered human beings? What if we counted them as 3/5 of a human being only for the purpose of voting, right? This is what is known in the Constitution as apportionment, all right? So it was only for the purpose of voting. A good book on this, written in the, I want to say 1800s, is a book called The Great Conspiracy, right? You get that book, The Great Conspiracy, and you'll see, the argument between the North and the South to try to, grant concessions, to maintain the Union, and at a certain point, this all came to a head, and then you come up to the Civil War, when the South broke off and seceded, and during that whole time, that was interesting because Lincoln's thing to free, by way of 13th Amendment and all that, which that came later, but him freeing the so-called slaves was ultimately just a way to destabilize the South. It wasn't like he really cared like that. I know there might be some Moors that would disagree with me on this point, but we have writings from Abraham Lincoln attesting to this fact. But he did it just to destabilize the South because he's noted to have said, if I could have preserved the Union without freeing the slaves, I would have done so. But so that's that. So that was the purpose of the 3/5 clause, to straighten that out. Now, an interesting thing from Prophet Noble Drew Ali on that 3/5 clause. The Prophet says, now this is relative to the 14th and 15th Amendments. He said, the 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the Free National Constitutional Law that was enforced in 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the Free National Constitution to be free and equal, since that Constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. Now, what does that mean? The 14th Amendment, was to, let's just do it. The 14th Amendment was designed to bring the Southerners who broke away from the United States of a government, United States of America, and formed their own government, to bring them back in, to make them citizens again, right? They had to take an oath of allegiance and so on and so forth, right? So that's ultimately who the 14th Amendment was for. Though it's used for a bunch of things now, the precedent for it was the Civil War and bringing them back in the body of power. 14th Amendment didn't have anything to do with us because based on the fact of our indigenous heritage and on this land, we were a part of the original Constitution of which the American Constitution evolved out of, right? So there was no need for the 14th Amendment for the application of us as American citizens. And the 15th Amendment was the right to vote. And again, that had to do with the European Southerner, had nothing to do with us, right? So, the Prophet was really big on, correcting this narrative, that was, taught by the Europeans that the Prophet referred to as European psychology. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing is like a large mental play. But as our Prophet says, it says, 2 hours in an up-to-date library will correct many of these issues, but, you have to have the pathway in knowing how to study and what the context is. This is why they gave us the names Negro, Black, and Colored, because they're non-descendable. You can't trace them back before slavery. There's nothing going back before that. You know what I'm saying? It starts right from slavery forward, So, you start dealing with Moorish and ancient Moabite and Canaanite, Israelite, Egyptian, Kemetic, so on and so forth. Now you're talking ancient history, right? And depending on the time periods, each one of those names is relevant, right? The reason why the Prophet invoked Moorish because it's ancient, but it's one of the more recent names that we were known right before our identity was taken away. And it's inclusive, like I said, of the various different tribes. So I pray Allah that answers the particular questions that were put forth thus far. I yield the floor.
Yes, and we will continue questions, but I did want to make sure we took time to acknowledge our brother Heru, Grand Sheik brother Heru, as well as Temple 19. And I wanted to ask two questions. One, if there's any way that we could support Temple 19, what is the best way for us to do that? And two, if individuals would like to, follow up on more information beyond this meeting, what would be the best way to get in touch with Temple 19 or yourself, Brother Heru?
Praise be to Allah. And the first part of that question is President John being humble because he's already supported us in so many different ways. If I'm not mistaken, that sharp haircut that he has right there is him supporting a Moorish business.
I ain't
Praise Allah.
want to say that, but yeah.
Pretty sharp there, Brother President. but yes, the UNIA, and again, this is something that I am very proud of Atlanta. And the reason why I'm proud of Atlanta because, we are honoring our forefathers here in the city of Atlanta. Why do I say that? Because, Grand Temple 19 is so blessed to be a part of a brotherhood and sisterhood of Afro-Asiatic and indigenous groups, such as the UNIA, such as the Nation of Islam, specifically Akira's Cafe. And I have to give my brother Gerald X, a shout out, because Brother Gerald X makes sure that we work all together, and Student Minister Stanley Muhammad. Have to give honors to the Sabians, I extend honors to my brother Amun Ma'at Geb. That's my brother from way back. I know that brother from a long time ago. We've soldiered on the battlefield before, so I know that brother's a soldier. Some Christian groups and so on and so forth. And if there's anybody on the line that's a part of that unity that I didn't mention, please forgive me, but, charge it to my head, not head and not my heart. But, but as far as support, we have been supporting each other. Can we do more? Yes. Right. I even, just in the way of that, filled out an application to become a member of, a local division to 421 of the UNIA. I don't know if it was submitted, but I'm waiting anxiously to hear back. Yes, but no rush, no pressure. But that being said, we are supporting each other, and like I'm a fan of, like the Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches us. One of our phrases, maxims of truth, is honor to whom honor is due. Right? Or too often, people do good work, we see them do good work, and we don't give them the honors. You see. And we have to, and we just, President John and I just had this conversation yesterday. We have to honor the leaders while they're still here with us. Time is declared out, man, for us talking, not giving the honors to a leader. Then they become an ancestor. They pass away. Now we want to talk about how great they was, crying and acting a fool about how great they was and stuff. And that's foolish. Let's, look a person in their eye and put our hand in their hand and give them a hug and hold them close and lift them up, and honor each other. Here at, local division 421 of the UNIA, like I said, you all are blessed to have a strong leader in President John Hargrove. And the reason why I say that, because I watch my brother diligently, from afar. He don't know I'm doing it, but I watch. And, my brother is very organized. And it's organized. His organization skills are inspiring. It's things he's said and done that I've taken back and brought back to the temple, right? And in the same spirit where the inspirer, Brother Marcus Garvey, the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, inspired Prophet Noble Drew Ali to with the things he was doing, organized with the UNIA, to bring it back to organize this Moorish Science Temple of America. We're still playing out the same energy from our forefathers in this day. Because, like the prophet said, we are our forefathers without doubt or contradiction. He said, no man can change the descendant nature of his forefathers unless some power, unless his power extends beyond the great and universal God, Allah himself. And no man has that power. So we are our forefathers, So that was the support question. And pardon me, my 51 years old is kicking in. What was the second part of the question?
Individuals want to reach out and follow up beyond this meeting. What's best way to contact you?
Yes, sir. So our email address is msta19atlanta@gmail.com. If you want to find us on Facebook, all you do is MSTA, all capital letters, MSTA Temple 19 Atlanta. And just shoot that page a friend request. And then anytime we go live, we go live every Friday and every Sunday. Every Friday is our Holy Day meeting, and every Sunday is our Sunday school. And Sunday school is kind of like what we did tonight, question and answer. And the Holy Day meetings, we get into in depth, the divine aspect, moral, that social and moral aspect, that we need, to make us more cohesive as a people. And like I said, we're very accessible. You could just pull up on me at 394 Cleveland Avenue, Southwest, Suite F, Atlanta, Georgia, 30315. I'm there 7 days a week. So anybody wants to know anything about Prophet Noble Drew Ali or the Moorish movement, or how to become a part of this, this noble and glorious organization, you can come up, and we can deal with it there. So that's the point of making as leaders. We have to be accessible, because our people might get that epiphany moment, and if we're not accessible, that thought may pass. We got to catch them when they're ready to do greater. So I purposely put myself in a position to be accessible. So I pray a lot that answers the questions. I yield the floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Grand Sheik. And you also being humble yourself, but I took the pleasure of adding your Cash App to the chat. So Cash App, $ Amir Ranesi-El. Brothers and sisters, if we could, make a $5, $10 contribution to this brother and the work that he's doing in the community here in Atlanta, I would be very much grateful for you showing that support. Before we move on to other topics, I just wanted to take a moment to make sure we acknowledge our guests and make sure we provide opportunities to support our guests. Before we move forward in the meeting, were there any other questions in regards to the Moorish Science Temple or Prophet Noble Drew Ali?
Yes, thank you.
I think I heard Attorney Imhotep first.
Yeah, I'll let the Queen go first.
Thank you, Attorney Imhotep. Go ahead, sister.
Oh, no, that's okay. Go ahead. Oh, you sure?
Yes, he yielded the floor to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Grand Chief Heru Ranesi-El. My name is Sister Zafia Bey. I'm in the Maryland area of Washington, D.C., and recently connected with the Baltimore UNIA chapter. I'm a Maryland girl, even though I'm near D.C. A Maryland woman. And coming from, thank you so much for your presentation and your definite love and commitment to the movement that inspired me. I grew up Afrocentric, celebrating Kwanzaa. My spiritual name is Zafia Bey. My government first name, though, is Kweli, my technical legal first name, and that is an Afrocentric name inspired by a movement inspired by Brother Garvey. I didn't know this until I became a Moor about the red, black, green flag coming from the Garvey movement. And so coming from where my parents came from, meeting in graduate school to get their doctorates, and just me getting a doctorate in science education as I was studying, and that's how I even came across Moorish science, through that journey of cultural relevance for Asiatic or African American children in education. I'm just going to read a little bit coming, mind you, from that genre of scholarship. The other connotation of the word sheik means, it not only means elder, which sometimes alludes to, elders in a church and, taking care of a religious institution, which is valid, but it also connotes and alludes to scholar, the word sheik or sheikh. And so these are bodies of scholars. Some are, groups of sheiks have their own scholarly circles, groups of sheikhs and Sufism. And then we know about the Western Academy. On behalf of that branch of scholarship, which is mixed, but Ivan Van Sertima comes from that tradition, I just wanted to read a bit from a dissertation, kind of explicitly with citations, documentation, positing the forerunner role, literally, of the Negro world in Marcus Garvey. On page 143 of a dissertation I did send to the treasurer, Brother Ross Marvin, it reads, "The Rif War has been noted in the Negro world on occasion in the early 1920s." And this is a conflict in literal modern-day Morocco in the 1920s. But in 1925, readers of the newspaper were exposed to a major wave of articles on the subject. From May through December that year, almost every issue of the Negro world had at least one article dealing with, in some way, the Rif War. Several issues ran 3 articles touching on it, and a handful of issues had 6 or more. The Rif War was also often the subject of major headlines in the paper that year. The presence of these articles and headlines helped ensure that readers stayed informed of the weekly events on the ground, the international political developments concerning peace talks, and the wars becoming a source of inspiration for anti-colonial movements throughout the world. The war was also discussed at most of the major UNIA conferences in Harlem in 1925, all of which were reported in the Negro World. Meanwhile, in other cities such as Oakland, New Orleans, and Remedios in Cuba, news articles about the Moors' progress, because that's what they refer to them as in these articles, were read at UNIA meetings, and speeches were made in support of Abd el-Karim and his efforts. So it goes on, and I've sent this for the record to your treasurer, and this is, to me, a literal homage of how Brother Marcus Garvey, with his pure-hearted determination towards race first, encouraged a climate in which pretty much literally a group of people were championed in the newspaper of the Negro world as these Moors that were like us. I think in one of the articles, he literally said, "We are Moors." He allowed one of his article writers to literally say that. So that to me is another dimension to the homage, and it's coming from the Negro world side of the street, from your own literary heritage, UNIA. I wanted to give that homage.
Thank you for that, Sister Zafia. Is that how we pronounce your name?
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister. Grand Sheik, did you want to make any response to that?
Absolutely. Phenomenal references. The Abdul Karim that's mentioned in that article was a prince that was fighting in the Rif War. We actually have an article that Abdul Karim came to America and was a member of the Moorish Temple of Science. He took out membership with the Moorish Temple of Science, because of the foundational, the Prophet recognizing the foundational Moorish ethnicity, amongst brothers and sisters here. That's a picture of my brother Sheik on right now. But anyway, but yeah, so it's a major thing. The connections, the Rif War and so on. Everybody was fighting the European colonial, move, throughout the world. So our forerunner and Brother Marcus Garvey and the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, these two mighty lights, set up a foundation for which we could build a plethora of organizations to advance the cause of our people. But we have to give honors to, where honors are due, to the beginning of where it started at, because that system order, must take place, in order for unity to truly happen. So, again, saying peace and love to my sister who gave that reference, and then I yield the floor.
Thank you, Grand Sheik. Attorney Imhotep, you had a comment?
Yes, question. Thank you. The email address where you can get the newspaper articles, if he could give that again.
Yeah, Grand Sheik, I think you had mentioned you were talking about Chicago newspaper in 1927, and you had mentioned like being able to access the article. Could you give that information again?
Absolutely. So you'll be dealing with the Chicago Defender newspaper, right? Like I said, the best way to do that, go to newspapers.com, right? And in there, so once you take out a subscription, go into their search, because it's a really serious resource. Check out the subscription, and in their search, type in Chicago Defender newspaper and give the date, the name and the date of the article that I referenced, and it'll come right up. That's one. And then the Schomburg, the Schomburg Library. Schomburg is SCHOMBURG Library. I think it's African American Library in Harlem, New York. So you just Google Schomburg Library, it'll come up. You might be able to get digital files from them. I'm not sure how they're operating now. Back when I originally ordered my Moorish guides, they actually sent us physical copies, obviously for a fee. But yeah, so those are two resources, and I know our Temple's email address is there. If you have any other resource questions, we could always refer you to anything to assist on a Moorish American subject. I yield the floor.
Thank you.
Attorney Imhotep, that answers your question?
Yes.
All right.
Can somebody put that information in the chat, please?
Great.
Thank you, Brother John.
Oh, wow. I'm not volunteering. Greg Sheik, if you can help me, could you put that in the chat, please?
Okay, let's see. Hold on.
I'm on the phone. Oh, hold on.
I'm on the phone. I'm not gonna be able to do it, brother.
I got you.
My apologies.
Brother Eric, thank you. Newspapers.com. Newspapers.com. What else was Chicago Defender?
So Chicago Defender, you can get through newspapers.com. And the other was Schaumburg African American Library. I know you all would love that resource.
Hope I spelled Schaumburg right. I think I did. All right, so we do have some resources in the chat. Oh, Schaumburg is CHOM? Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, I spelled it. Any other questions? Does anybody have for our guests before we proceed with the rest of the agenda?
I have one more. Or
okay, Brother Eric, you got
Dr. Shams wants to go first.
Dr. Shams?
Yeah, it's pressing their hand raise button.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yes, raise first. Raise first, Brother Sheik. Yes. A lot of Moors believe that we are some sort of United States citizens, which the Constitution that the United States uses, actually says the opposite of in Articles 9, 10, and 11. Are you able to expound on any validity of that? I mean, they're saying that we're United States citizens. In reality, what I know about being Moorish American is that Noble Drew Ali came here to establish a government amongst us, and he said that if he was not able to establish his government or a government with his people, then he was established such among the Europeans. Could you shed some more light on that, please? Race first.
Islam, my brother, race first. What I like to say to that is, as I referenced earlier, when it comes to anything and all things, that deal with the concept of Moorish American, our foundational, our primary resource, our everything is Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Because one thing we bear witness to the fact that had he not brought us the identity and the nationality of Moorish American, we'd still be running around talking about we was, colored people and so on and so forth, right? So that being the case, we reference, the Prophet's literature, right? The Prophet speaks of, firstly, let me get where he talks about the American Constitution. Okay. Pardon me. So he says, I didn't read this. So, and this is the article entitled Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America. Just found on page 19 in the Moorish Literature pamphlet. It says, inspired by the lofty teachings of the Quran, we have it as the revealed word of God Allah. We shall foster the principles of his teachings among our members. This is our religious principles, under religious privilege as American citizens under the laws of one of the greatest documents of all time, the American Constitution. So he held that in high esteem. Throughout, matter of fact, one of the primary things, when you join the Moorish Science Temple of America, when you take out a nationality card, the Grand Sheik, he demonstrates the card in the beginning. So the person who wants to join, the prospective member is standing in front of the temple. The officials are standing, facing the prospective member, and the Grand Sheik is reading the card, right? He might stop and explain the symbols on it and all that. He reads a certain point, then he'll ask the person to raise their right hand, right? And he say, repeat after me. And we say, I am a citizen of the USA. And then, it says Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet. So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, firstly, because when you look at that statement is in quotation marks, right? It was Prophet Noble Drew Ali that gave us the nationality card. So that quote is the Prophet Noble Drew Ali talking. Prophet Noble Drew Ali himself was saying, I am a citizen of the USA. And the follow-up statement to that is Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet, right? So now, when it comes to citizenship, this is why the Moorish Science Temple of America is important, right? Because in order to understand citizenship and what he meant by that, you'd have to understand members. I see my brother Sheik being supportive, referenced Act 6 of the Divine Constitution and bylaws, where it states, just the first few words, nothing deep, but it says, with us all members, right? And the word member means, a part of something, right? A citizen, if you look at the word citizen in the legal dictionary, of which there's a plethora of, I don't want to get into naming them because Moors start worshiping legal dictionaries like their Qurans and stuff, but a citizen is basically a member of a political community. That's all it is, right? The nation that the Prophet was laboring to establish, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali never flew, because he gave us the Moorish flag. The Moorish flag, but for those that don't know, is a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. Okay, that is the flag. That flag is over 10,000 years old. That's the ancient imperial flag of the Moors, right? But he never flew that flag on these shores by itself. He always flew it with the American flag, right? Let me give you some context for the day and time the Prophet was in. So in the 20s, there was an organization called Star Order of Ethiopia. I'm gonna get back to this is gonna tie into your question. The Star Order of Ethiopia. Star Order of Ethiopia, they were very pro-Abyssinia, which we say Ethiopia, right? They had a parade at a certain point, this is in the city of Chicago. At a certain point during the parade, at the end, they ended, got to the point where they were going, and they took an American flag and they burned it. When they burned it, it caused a riot in the city. Police officers were killed. It was bad. It was really, really bad, right? Prophet Noble Drew Ali was looking at this, and I have the article, maybe I'll have to email it after the call. But, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, saw this and wanted to disassociate himself with radical activity, right? In fact, in our additional laws, we're permitted from doing particular things. I'll give you another aspect of what Prophet Noble Drew Ali meant by citizenship, and I'll get to the nation part later, right? Act 4 of our additional law says all members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, right? So basically what you're dealing with is, the Prophet bringing us into a system of order. Because for us to be against the American Constitution, we would be against our own principles, because it was our forefathers that established that Constitution, at its inception, right? Now, relative to, United States citizen, American citizen, and any apparent differences that may go on between that, there's something known as sovereign citizen ideology, okay? Sovereign citizen inherently as a catchphrase is an oxymoron. Can't be a sovereign and a citizen. So, people that hold to these ideologies don't call themselves that. But if you Google this terminology, the ideology comes up, right? And this whole thing about being a separate nation, being like literally a separate nation inside of this. That's not what the Prophet was talking about. The Prophet was talking about establishing, free national standards and principles inside of the United States of America, the same as other organized groups have done. In other words, when you think about the Mexicans, our brothers, our cousins, when you think about the Mexicans, they're a nation within a nation, right? I just saw a video the other day. 15,000 Jews at Nassau Coliseum gathered together to speak against and denounce Zionism. So based on the October 7th, invasion of Hamas into the state of Israel, they were able within a week or two after that to put 15,000 people together to further make sure they're all on the same page. Point being is that they're all working together from a political, economic, and social perspective, meaning that they have, places all around. If you go to Crown Heights and, in Brooklyn, they have a community, they have a police force, fire department, medical, all of that. But if you ask them, are you an American citizen? Yes, absolutely. But I'm also a Jew. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And, to them, their divine law takes precedence, but they're not confused about the fact that they're American citizens. Another group, the Sons of Italy, and I'm using European specifically, I can get to us in a minute. The Sons of Italy, me being originally from New Jersey, are very huge. And if you go on their website, which I would, encourage everyone to do, on the Sons of Italy website, they break down how the Sons of Italy was devised to preserve Italian heritage and to teach Italians how to be American citizens. In other words, how to get your part of this particular nation, because whether ideologically, or, whether you're with that or not, let's look at the realities. We all pay taxes. And there's some that say, oh, I don't pay tax, I'm a tax protester, whatever. Okay. When you go to get gas at a gas station, the tax is included. So you're paying the tax whether you like it or not, right? You have, the Department of Watershed and so on and so forth. We pay taxes to keep up the fire department and the police and so on, whether, you work a job and you get taxes taken out, so on and so forth. See, all of that is going back, to support, the government of the United States. Like I've heard people that hold a quote unquote sovereign mindset, because the word sovereign just means absolutely independent. So you can't be sovereign if you have, I'm using this reference because we're here in Georgia. The electrical company is called Georgia Power. You can't be sovereign and you have a Georgia Power bill. You can't be a sovereign and you have a Metro PCS bill or whoever your provider is. You should be providing all of that if you're a sovereign nation, right? So a lot of times we have a tendency to put the cart before the horse. What our forefathers, I'm saying Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and I can't officially speak for Marcus Garvey, but just as an outsider, they were calling us to organize ourselves. I don't even see anywhere where Marcus Garvey told us to speak against the government, in terms of, the United States of America government. President John can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Prophet Noble Drew Ali's works, and I know he didn't guide us that way, because there were a lot of groups in his day that moved that way and were demolished. His whole thing was he wanted us to have a chance, to have our work not be undermined, right? That was the whole, impetus behind the additional law that said, don't speak, radical against, the American flag or the church or any organized group. You can have whatever personal feeling you want, but when we're speaking in an official capacity, that's different. When leaders speak, now leaders are speaking on behalf of people, so we have to be responsible, right? So like right now, if we be real, I like to throw this out, and again, I'll say this in closing. When it comes to the whole defund, as an example, defund the police. We shouldn't fund them and this and that or whatever, right? All right, cool. And I give honors to President John, because I know he walks this walk because I've seen him do it. But are we ready to police our own communities? And I don't mean like ideologically. I mean, if the police pulled out today, right? Tomorrow, no, not even tomorrow, tonight, can we put bodies in the street to police the community to make sure no sisters get harmed, nobody gets robbed, nobody gets murdered, or none of that? Do we have the manpower organized between us, as Afro-Asiatic and indigenous groups right now to do that? If not, we gotta be a little bit more humble and organize and get to the point where we can establish that type of infrastructure. Because what we're looking at is a lack of infrastructure. Why in 2023, in the 21st century, with as much knowledge as we have, walking around with supercomputers in our pockets called cell phones, we are still super heavily dependent on the European colonizers, the European nations. We're still heavily dependent on them. And that is a sin. That is an utmost sin, and that makes us traitors to the race, because if we were to listen to the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, if we were to listen to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, instead of challenging them and challenging their positions and acting like we were the wise one, and I'm not attacking anybody, I'm just a passionate speaker. Instead of attacking them, we would have been a lot much further. We've been much further as a race than we are right now, because we clearly don't know a tenth of what they knew, because look at the nations that they raised. When I say nations, I'm using that in a loose sense. They raised thousands of people. I can't claim to have raised thousands of people. So I have to study those who did and walk in their footprints. So the teacher treads the way and leaves those footprints clearly cut. So all that go behind them know that the master went that way, and I fall under that teaching. That's actually from our Quran, So that teaching obviously gets a lot more intricate and in depth and stuff like that. President John, if you could you could put my phone number, in the chat. Anybody wants to call me, and we can talk further on this. Like I said, I'm a friend and servant of humanity. We can have those conversations, and I'm looking forward to it because I want us to get there. All right. So that being said, and yes, my sister said being part and partial of the said government, Partial is being held as special within a particular thing. And that's when you're dealing with your ethnicity, right? Because to be America being an immigrant nation, right? America means nothing if you don't proclaim a nationality before it. So to answer up to the constitutional principles, let's say if someone comes, again, using Mexico, someone wants to come to Mexico to become a naturalized citizen, they're going to ask them, well, what is your nationality? They say, I'm Mexican. He has to have a prefixed nationality before he can become American, right? And then when he becomes American, he becomes Mexican American, right? So, there's laws behind all this stuff, but we have to look at it in the context of the people that knew how to unfold us in these things. The ones that established institutions for this. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali is definitely one of these masters that did such. But with that being the case, I yield the floor.
Thank you, Grand Sheik. Dr. Did that answer your question?
Comment. First of all, Grand Sheik, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative. And I've always wondered if Marcus Garvey and Honorable Noble Drew Ali had met, and you identified a couple times, and I didn't know that Noble Drew Ali went to visit Marcus Garvey when he was in prison. So thank you for sharing that information and everything. So I was wondering, my question is, do you have an online website for the Moors that you would recommend, or that you are represented there?
So if I may, so this is what and this might sound crazy in the information age and virtual era. What I'm very hesitant about, sending people to the internet to research the Moorish Science Temple of America or the Moorish movement. And the reason why, there's so much disinformation on the internet about who we are and what this movement represents and who the Prophet is. A lot of people have been led astray, and it's hurt a lot of lives, right? What I suggest is that wherever you are, visit your local Moorish Science Temple of America. If you're on this call and you're in a different state, I see my phone number was just posted. You're in a different state and you don't know of a Moorish Science Temple of America near you, you can give me a call and I can refer you to a temple in your area. There are temples all across the country, right? But there might be one that exists, but it might be far away from you. Then that's when stuff like conference calls and this type of thing comes in, right? Calls just like this, Moors have them all across the country just because of that particular thing. But I would only refer someone to a reputable Moorish Science Temple of America that is hosting a conference call. Anyone who's putting themselves up as a leader of the Moorish Science Temple of America or a leader of the Moorish movement, period, should have a record of good works. You should be able to put their name out there, and good history should be able to come back. A record of uplifting people, teaching, organizing, and so on and so forth. Contrary to popular belief, I didn't, even in this movement, I didn't pop up yesterday. Like I said, I've been around since 2001. So I've seen various different, variations of different aspects of people's ideal of what this is. But the thing that always kept me rooted is what the Prophet said, because we can say anything after he left, but then, the Prophet once reported to have said in his oral statements, your way you want, your way you will have, but your way will not work, right? So, this is, what we're saying, and, any quote unquote division, because the disunity and division amongst Moors is actually an illusion. Anyone wants to know further about that, you can contact me directly. We can talk about that. But even the beef amongst Moors was actually prophesied by the Prophet while he was in the form. So there's prophecies that are attached to that, and so on and so forth. And those that are kind of in a weird space about that and want to see more of the movement and stuff like that, they forget the prophecies. You know what I'm saying? The last chapter of the Moorish Science Temple of America is entitled "The End of Time and the Fulfilling of the Prophecy." So that being the case, so like I said, I'm plugged in with a lot of good Grand Sheiks from different. Let's see, I'm one of those kind of Moorish Americans that I'm a friend of Moorish Americans throughout all the lineages. You know what I'm saying? So I don't play party politics in the Moorish Science Temple of America. I like to make friends and, brothers and sisters with, people that just love the Prophet and this movement and want to see better for our people. And also a friend of others in other Asiatic groups that, that want to see better for our people in general, right? And I've been known to stand with those wherever the call for unity is sent out. I'm going to be there. And if I can't come, I'll send a representative, but our temple will be represented, So I pray Allah that answers your questions or addresses your concern. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Grand Sheik. President Ross, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Grand Sheik.
Any final questions before we proceed with the agenda?
I do have one short one.
Brother Eric, you got it.
You were talking about like how like the lineages go back. You said 3 lineages, but like across the whole thing, you were talking about how the relations go in and out. So do you have more about that?
If you could just clarify what you mean by the relations go in and out.
You were saying that some, like at a certain point in time, that there were limits to the type of information that people could have based on who they were related to, things like that. So at what point did it get like when does it get spread out? Who were what were some of the people, for like not like in depth about who they were exactly, but who are some people that you would say to start that, like looking into that?
Yeah, so you're talking about the divisions, current divisions within the Moorish Science Temple?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your question. So yes, so there are 3 primary lineages. We don't really say divisions, lineages. Relative to those 3 lineages, like to your point, and like I referenced earlier, there was information that was, safeguarded and held, based on each lineage. So what happened was there were different things taught by the Prophet, and based on, each one of these 3. So I'll put the names out there. Let's say Brother Mealy-El, who was Edward Mealy-El, who, by the way, was a Garveyite first and then joined the Moorish Science Temple of America. There was another brother named Brother Ira Johnson Bank, not one of the heads of the lineages. I just want to put him in the record as also formerly being a Garveyite from the Chattanooga division, back in 1920, at least 1927, I have documents to that. But anyway, Brother Edward Mealy-El, Brother Charles Kirkman Bey. Brother Charles Kirkman Bey was actually the Prophet's translator when he went to Mexico and Cuba. And Brother John Givens-El. John Givens-El, people refer to him as the reincarnated prophet or Brother Prophet. So each one of them, took a particular thing that the Prophet taught them. And when they went forward, they taught that, Brother, Mealy-El was a very loyal brother, he was one that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, when he was on the road, like I said, 80% of the time, he was the one he left in charge in Chicago to keep things running properly in his stead. He was big on teaching him the structure. There's a particular document that we have where it's Brother Mealy-El's resume, and it runs through from when he first joined the movement all the way to when he became, the Supreme Grand Sheik, during the time of the Prophet, appointed the first Supreme Grand Sheik appointed by the Prophet.
What was his name just then? I'm sorry to interrupt you. What did you say? But
no, please. His name, Edward Mealy, Mealy, El. So all Moors are surnamed Il or Bey. So that's the thing, right? So Brother
into the chat if you would like, sir.
Yeah.
Would you like me to type the link?
That's fine. I think if it's fine with the president.
What's going on?
Someone asked, is it okay if they type something in the chat?
Yes, go ahead. You can continue with your answer to Brother Eric.
Thank you, sir. So Brother Mealy-El's gift was structure. The framework and structure of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and what he wanted. The thing about Brother Mealy-El is that there's nothing written that he was a very flamboyant or charismatic type brother, whatever. He was the trustworthy brother. There may be other Moorish historians that might debate me on that. But in my research, this is what I found. Brother Kirkman Bey was, he formerly fought in World War I, in the military. So he had traveled and so on and so forth. He had certain fraternal affiliations which I'm not prevented, by way of our laws to get into that. But yeah, certain fraternal lineage, affiliation. So, he was used to, organizing from that side before joining the Moorish Science Temple of America. Like I said, he's also known as a polyglot, spoke multiple languages. But he was also like a business genius. When you look at that particular lineage, and we have those minutes as well from the annual conventions of, various temples having to report their progress and stuff like that, you see a lot of industriousness from that side. Brother John Givens-Ill, like I said, who was known as the reincarnated prophet. We have a lesson that teaches into whom was the spirit of Jesus first reincarnated, and the answer is Prophet Muhammad the Conqueror. So we have a teaching that deals with reincarnation and all this type of stuff, whatever. So Brother John Givens-Ill, took that side, of the teachings and stuff like that, and delved heavily into, the spiritual aspect of the teachings, so on and so forth. But he was also a very industrious person. Under the reincarnated prophet, under Brother John Givens-Ill, there was a lot of businesses and everything that was established. There was Moorish schools that was established, so on and so forth. There's if you go on another resource for those taking notes, the Freedom of Information Act, right? So if you go in, type in fbi.gov, and then after that, put like fbi.gov, go / Moorish Science Temple of America, right? You can get, the files that the FBI had. They did a study on the Moorish Science Temple of America starting in like 1927, 28. The file is 3,117 pages, right? It's largely redacted, meaning that the moles and the plants that, their informants and stuff like that they had in the temple at that time, their names are blacked out because they were trying to protect their agents. But you can get a chance to see a lot of the, how the Europeans were blown away that the Moors had so much financial, progress, stuff that average Asiatics didn't have. They were like, well, how are they doing this? And then, they were getting more, getting down to the point of figuring out that the prophet was the head of all of this. You're talking about thousands of Moors nationwide. And anytime the prophet set up a temple, usually soon after that, a month or two after that, there were businesses established, a barbershop, a grocery store, a laundromat, a school, like this was happening at a high rate of speed. It wasn't like a slow walk. This was really happening, like in a 1.5, 2 year span. The prophet has, established a strong infrastructure for our people just in Chicago alone. But if you look around the nation, it was happening as well. But so to coming down to your question, when did it begin to open up as far as information being shared? That process is still going on. This is why I've authored over 15 books. I have a book that'll be coming out, be released on the prophet's birthday, which is January 8th. It's called The Persecution of the Prophet, and the subtitle under it is A Chastisement of the Moorish Nation from a Motive of Love. But in there, I go through all the ordeals and everything that Prophet Noble Drew Ali went through, and how as Moorish Americans we still persecute the prophet to this day by our disobedience. So we give a lot of supportive documentation within there and all of that. But my young brother, that process is still ongoing. I extend honors to President John for the work he's doing with the UNIA, because there was a lot of things that people did to Brother Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not speaking on behalf of the organization, but I just know that that all of our organizations had some setbacks as a result of the Negro problem, that is being solved only as it can. So yes, my brother. If you link, if you have my contact information, if it's okay with President John, if you reach out to me, I can give you a bunch of other resources and connect you with other Grand Sheiks around the country who have resources that I don't even have. Okay, so with that, I pray Allah that assist your question and concern. I yield the floor.
Brother Eric, did I answer your question?
Most definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. So it is 7:23. We're supposed to end at 8. We still haven't done member share. I do want to be fair to everybody, and also our guests. And I wanted to give everyone a chance. Are there any final questions to our guests before we proceed with the agenda?
I got one question. So I'm make it really quick. I just need that date again. He just said the January 8th date. What was that?
Oh, the date I just gave is the date of that we'll be releasing and publishing the latest book I've authored, entitled "The Persecution of the Prophet." But January 8th is also the date of Prophet Noble Drew Ali's birthday.
Yes. And yes, the Moors in Atlanta particularly usually have a celebration around that time of year. We've been invited in the past, and I'm sure we'll be invited this year. And
Absolutely.
we want to make sure we have a good showing and support our brothers at Temple 19. So, any other questions, comments before we proceed? All right, thank you. Grand Sheik. If you are welcome to stay if you'd like. I actually would appreciate if you stay just a few minutes because I'm gonna segue into Black Family Day. So
yes,
me and brother Grand Sheik have been in discussions for several weeks, feels like months, year almost, trying to coordinate this presentation. And we were able to successfully have that here today, thanks to Allah. And it's actually perfect because we've talked about our unity in the community and how we feel that Atlanta, right now where we are, we're in a very special place at a very special time. And it's partly due to having the right people in the right place at the right time. So leadership at the temple, leadership in the mosque, leadership in the UNIA, and the leadership under Dr. York and the United Sabaeans. So for several years, we've been working together, coming together, and having joint events to show, as I said, that unity in the community, not just talk about it, but actually demonstrate it. So next Saturday, the 18th of November, we will have our upcoming Black Family Day. This is hosted by brothers out of the Nation of Islam. We usually have the events at Akira's Cafe, located at 5134 Old National Highway, College Park, Georgia. And as Brother Heru had mentioned, they do a great job. The Moors do a great job of showing unity and representation. Anytime we have an event, if he's not there to represent, he always has a delegation of representatives that are there to speak on behalf of Temple 19. And I would like for us as UNIA to be better about showing up in that type of form, to where we have somewhat of a delegation. So it's not just one or two people, not just president, lady president, but it's also some of our members that are coming to show support for these types of endeavors. I don't know many places throughout the nation where you have these groups collectively coming together and working together to put on events, regular events throughout the year. So I encourage everyone, and I would hope that everyone please comes out next Saturday at Akira's Cafe, 1 to 6 p.m. We'll be having Black Family Day with the UNIA, Moorish Science Temple, Nation of Islam, the United Sabaeans, and the College Park community. Any questions, comments on Black Family Day?
I wanted to get that brother's number before he cut out.
I put it in the chat.
All right.
Grand Sheik Heru Ranesi-El. I put it in there at 7:10 p.m.
The brother's number?
Yes. Look in the chat under 7:10 p.m. Where we would, comment at 7:10 p.m. from me. If you don't got it, I'll repost it.
Yeah, I don't have it.
President John, can you post that flyer somewhere where I can grab it? Or can you send it to me?
You should have it.
I should have it? Okay.
Yeah, this was in the the meeting invite for today.
Okay.
So there were several attachments, Black Family Day, a picture of our special guests, and some other events that I'll touch on. But just wanted to go over Black Family Day first to have a good segue from Grand Sheik's presentation. No questions, comments on Black Family Day? All right. Hope to see everyone there. A couple other things that I wanted to touch on, just from a formality standpoint before I get to the other events. Grand Sheik did an excellent job with his presentation. And I don't want individuals, no fault at all. You did perfect. But sometimes when you do such a good job, you can confuse people as to what they're witnessing or what they're involved in. And someone that came in recently may think that this is a Moorish Science Temple meeting. And in a sense, it is. We're brothers, but this is officially a UNIA meeting. And one of the things that we do is we read our preamble, try to read the preamble. Garvey provided this as one of the best ways to explain the goals and intentions of the UNIA, what it is and what it's about. The Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man, but with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. That's our preamble, and back to events, upcoming events. Next Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday after this coming Tuesday, we will have our giving gratitude. This is not coming up well. So this is our first time hosting this event. This is our first time hosting this event. We plan to make this an annual event. Last month, we honored ancestors, and this month we want to take some time to honor those that are still here. So, Brother Heru, I need you in attendance. President Ross, I need you in attendance. Attorney Imhotep also need you in attendance. But we're looking forward to making this an annual program, to where every year at the end of the year, we can look back at the achievements that we've made as UNIA members, as well as leaders in the community. And we can take some time to acknowledge those within our race that are doing things to help benefit our race. We just have to be better about this from a complete self-reliant, self-governance standpoint. We should also be acknowledging and rewarding ourselves. So we shouldn't be looking to other groups or other organizations and other races, and there should be some legitimate form of awards related to actual grassroots work that's being done in our community, and that's what we plan for this to be as we continue to have this event. So next Tuesday, November 21st, probably from about, I think the time we said we're going to do like 5 to 7 or 4 to 7, somewhere around there. But we'll be there at 3 by 3 to help set up. But it's gonna be a formal affair, asking for contributions as well. But we'll have some food, entertainment, and this will be our first year to acknowledge members in our community. Questions, comments on Giving of Gratitude award ceremony?
Yes, are we going to be giving out any awards at the division?
Yes, we are.
So that's already taken care of, or it still has to be taken care of?
Lady President and myself got a short list together for this first award ceremony. But there are, let me see, 1, 2, I think there's about 5 people within the division that will be acknowledged, and maybe 4 or 5 people in the community that will be acknowledged.
Is that the event on the 21st?
Yes.
Is that the event? I know I got to come to all events, but you just mentioned some event that you want us to be at. Was that the Black Family Day event, or this event, or which event was that you specifically were you talking about?
We are very busy, and that's our own doing. I need everyone at all events. I would want everybody at all events. But general membership, yeah, I mean, both events, actually. I can't say one is more important than the other. Black Family Day is coming up first. It's on Saturday, next Saturday, the 18th. And then the award ceremony is that following Tuesday. But yeah, I would like participation.
I didn't see a flyer for the award ceremony. I seen it for the Black Family Day.
Let's see, am I showing my screen? Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. It's in the same email.
Oh, the award ceremony flyer?
Yes.
It's being displayed
Okay.
right now.
Okay. Thanks, Sister D. I couldn't see.
So November 18th, Saturday, Black Family Day. All of our organizations coming together, supporting each other. And then right after that, November 21st, we are doing Giving of Gratitude. The Giving of Gratitude came about, and when we were thinking about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a European holiday celebrating the genocide of the Native Americans, and that's something that we acknowledge and quote unquote celebrate every year. We felt that as Garveyites, we have to challenge that and be able to provide different events throughout the year that have a more righteous foundation. So instead of celebrating Thanksgiving, we will celebrate giving thanks the Tuesday prior to Thanksgiving. Questions, comments on our award ceremony next Tuesday? Formal affair, please dress nicely. Okay. Last thing that I've got as far as events is our Tuesday Liberty Hall. Screen sharing has stopped. Okay, so for the month of November, actually since the last day of October, we've been in person at Omanala Griot every Tuesday, approximately from 3 p.m. to really, I'm there till 10 p.m. But we'll have like an open Liberty Hall session, planning session, meeting, fellowship time from 3 to 7:30. And then at 8 p.m. we have our officers training that begins at 8 from 8 to 9:30. So just another opportunity for us to come together and work together to fellowship, see each other. Every Tuesday, myself and Lady President will be at Omanala Griot, 337 Dargan Place, Southwest Atlanta. But if there's anything we need to work on or be in person for, Tuesday will be a great opportunity for us to do that. So keep that in your calendar, and definitely come out, see us, and support what we got going on. Questions, comments? Okay, so 18th, Black Family Day, 21st, award ceremony, and then every Tuesday, Liberty Hall. So those are our upcoming events. Once we get through our award ceremony, we'll start to plan for Kwanzaa, but we'll most likely celebrate, I think it's the first day of Kwanzaa, with the Tuesday following Christmas. We'll announce that once we get through our award ceremony. The last thing that I've got before I hand the floor back over is just a general request for support. As always, we should, and I think most members on the call are already active dues paying members, but for those that are not, or if you'd like to make a charitable contribution, our Cashapp $UNIA-421 fund, PayPal, paypal.me/UNIA-421. And again, it's $3 a month is the expectation. That's all we really expect from our membership, plus the $10 annual assessment, but that's in January. So, and also if you'd like to support Moorish Science Temple of America, Temple 19, $Amir Ranesi-El. So, just a brief, quick request for support. Somebody have a question or something? Okay. With that, let's see. Next thing we have is division officer reports. I guess I just kind of did mine. We're focused on Giving Gratitude Day next Tuesday and Black Family Day this coming Saturday. Beyond that, we did not have President's Call this month, so I don't have an update for that. That got canceled. We did have a Secretary's Call. Brother Art, I'll let you share some information on that. Not too much. But yeah, other than the events that I just put out, that's the focus that I have from President's standpoint. We did bring in 3 new members in October. It's been a little bit slow this month, but hopefully with, as we can get more involved with our programs and events, we can bring in additional members. Any questions or comments for me as president from anyone? Anybody have any questions? UNIA, parent body, HEC, Division 421 as a whole, anything?
I actually did.
Go ahead.
In one of the I was late for signing up, so I kind of came in at class 5, 6. But one of the assignments was to read the Constitution, and I was going through it, and there was information about I don't know if that's kind of my question. So there was something about a university or a type of thing like that? That's my question. Was there anything about a university in there? What was that? If you don't know, that's fine. If it's not, that's just the only thing I've been wanting to know.
Yes. Give me a second. So I know that we have a responsibility. The Constitution is very in-depth. And depending on, okay, so it's only one. Yeah, and I thought that's where it was. So, oh no, it's 5 of them. So there used to be a requirement qualification for high office that individuals that were seeking high office should undergo a 6-month course of instruction at any university of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. This requirement has been removed from the Constitution. There's no longer a requirement to attend instruction at a particular university. So that got taken out. Let me see.
Is that an amended version of the Constitution?
Yes, it is.
Is that a public version? Can I read that too?
Yeah, you didn't get this. I guess I sent you the link to the one that's on the website, right?
Yeah.
I owe you this one. Yeah, I'm gonna email this to you. I can email it.
Wait till in person if that would make you more comfortable. I guess I know some stuff is like, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but
no, I mean it's just a hassle to mail it, and just got to make sure you get it. If you don't get it, I got to mail it again. Sometimes I get lost. That's the only thing.
I could pick it up at one of the events you said. I'll just come to one of those and.
Okay. But yes, I forgot that you had read the original Constitution unamended. But as of late, the requirements to attend quote unquote university has been removed. We do still have in our aims and objectives, we do have a call to create universities and institutions. And that's something that we've been trying to do. In Atlanta, we have our officers training course of African philosophy. That is our program that we're trying to develop into an institution. And then outside of that, the only thing that I'm aware of is the parent body orientation. And that's on Saturdays. You should be getting invitations to that. I think I've seen you on that as well. That would be the closest thing to an institution from the leadership standpoint.
You said the African what? That was you said the orientations and the other one?
Course of African Philosophy, Message to the People, Course of African Philosophy is a text that Marcus Garvey developed in 1937. In that text, he describes it as basically the instructions for the leadership of the UNIA after his transition. We have adopted this course at UNIA, and we have adopted this course here in Atlanta Division 421 as our official officers training course. But it's this book here. There's several different versions of it. I would recommend, if you're going to get it, you get the one that looks like this. It's white with blue writing. We at Division 421, we started this. This is our third year providing this course. It's a 6 months course, and it begins at the end of September. And we go over the information every Tuesday, but it's limited to officers. Next year, things may be different. We may be able to open it up to aspiring officers, but as of right now, we just have our officers participating in the course.
Okay.
But you do have access to it on our YouTube. We record all of our classes, so for the past two years, we've got that information up there. And I think we've gone through like 7 or 8, about 7 sessions thus far this year. All of those classes are on YouTube as well, so you can start to get a level of understanding of it now, and get into what the course is about. I would definitely recommend getting a very good understanding of the preface and the foreword. That gives you the foundation of what the course is and why the course was developed before you get into the lessons.
That book right there, if I could ask the guest that was here in the beginning,
Yep.
You were talking about libraries. Are there any nearby or ones that you already listed that have this book, or should I just go to, like, I know Amazon could work or something like that, but is there like a local source for?
Brother Heru, would you know of any local sources? I mean, I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. I know the Shrine of Black Madonna used to have a pretty good book source, but they don't have this. The text that we've been getting online through African online bookstores.
I always go to look for some of the books like that you guys talk about, and just ones that I see like as I look for stuff, and some of them are like really like just expensive, or like for display, like people keep them as, like, I find them in places rather than to be read, if that makes sense. Like in that.
I'm not sure what text you're referring to that would fit that description. The text that I would recommend, first and foremost, Constitution of the UNIA. Marcus Garvey says, in order to teach the UNIA, first read the Constitution and Book of Laws from cover to cover. So I would start with the Constitution. I personally put Message to the People, Course of African Philosophy, right up there with the Constitution, just because it was a text compiled. Well, let me see. It was published after Garvey's death, but the editor and the publisher give full author credit to Garvey. And in that text, it says this is the closest thing to a book that Marcus Garvey ever wrote, with the exception of his poetical works. So I put those two as the highest possible position. Right behind that, I would have Philosophy and Opinions, as well as Race First by Dr. Tony Martin. Beyond that, Selected Writings and Speeches. I think Amy Jocks, and there's some other books as well, but those are the five that I could name off the top of my head. Amy Jocks has a compilation. Amos Wilson has Garvey in the Age of Garveyism. And Dr. John Henry Clark also had published something in regards to Garvey, but the ones that I mentioned would be where I would start. And those should be rather affordable. You shouldn't have to pay more than Race First, may be the most expensive out of the ones that I listed.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like $25.
So, sorry, to read through that list, you said the Constitution, Message to the People, Philosophy and Opinions, Race First. What was the last one?
The Selected Writings and Speeches was, and this is just my opinion. This is not gospel, but from my perspective, these are texts that I would consider important. President Ross, would you have any additional insight on important texts for a aspiring Garveyite?
President John, I think you mentioned them, but I want to make a little correction on what you mentioned. Is not only your opinion of suggested books in reference to Garvey, but it's also our division's reading list, book reading list. So the official reading list from our division.
Also, may I say something?
Mr. Diane, go ahead.
So I have all of those books on Audible. I know it's not the same as holding the physical book. Message to the People is also on Audible, but it's not this one, it's the red. It's got it's pretty much the same as what's in this book that we're looking at, but it's the red one. So it may not have the updated preface, and but it's pretty much the same book, and I have it on Audible because it's just easier sometimes for me to listen in the car or where have you. my university on wheels, so to speak. And so, but when you are able to listen as well as read the book, then obviously more of it's gonna stick. But a lot of these books, surprisingly to me, was on Audible. So I have most of all that was mentioned. And the Race First 1, 2 is on Audible.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't know they were on there.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, you should have access to everything that I mentioned with the exception of the updated Constitution. That is, you have to get that from a active member and representative of the UNIA.
All right.
In addition, can I also mention, President John, one other thing?
Yes, sir.
We have the digital version, Brother Eric. So if you want to send you the digital version of our message to the people, we can send that to you.
That would be great.
If you can post your email in the chat, that would have it.
Okay. Any other questions? 7:54. And in the parent body orientation, there is a, I'll share this. They do have a book listing. It's basically the new Marcus Garvey library. It consists of 9 books. Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Race First, Dr. Tony Martin, Message to the People, Course of African Philosophy. So that's 3 of the 5 that I mentioned. Pan-African Connection, From Slavery to Garvey and Beyond by Dr. Tony Martin. African Fundamentalism by Dr. Tony Martin. Amy Ashwood Garvey, Pan-Africanist, Feminist, and Wife Number 1. Marcus Garvey Heru, A First Biography by Dr. Tony Martin. The Poetical Works of Marcus Garvey, and Literary Garveyism by Dr. Tony Martin. But this list was provided by our HEC leadership. So it is a adequate resource for important texts. And then there's some additional texts. Irritated Genie by Dr. Jacob Carruthers. Destruction of Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams. African-Centered Consciousness, what I mentioned, Dr. Amos Wilson. Marcus Garvey UNIA Papers, Volume 1 through 10 by Robert Hill. This one is probably one of the ones that you were talking about that is expensive. I think the ones that I've seen were like $100 at least. But you should have enough accessible information to keep you going for at least 3 years. And I say that from experience. Any other questions before we move to membership? Or I guess we kind of need to just go to membership at this point. Officers, y'all get a day off.
Thank you, President.
Yeah. Y'all better thank Grand Sheik Heru.
Race First.
Well, before we go to membership, is there anything critical that officers would like to share with our membership? Y'all quiet. Okay, y'all just.
Absolutely. Greetings, membership. How is everyone? Give me one.
Gotta get the kids right. Sure.
Greetings, membership, and greetings to our special guests. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I just want to tell you, I just want to show you something. Just want to show everybody. I took so many notes tonight. It was so much. I don't even see you can see that because I have my background on. But just know it is a lot of information that I took down, and I feel like I haven't missed a beat in the Moorish science. So I'm very grateful for tonight's lecture. It was very insightful, and I'm looking forward to being more involved with the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'm very enlightened and inspired, just like Drew Ali was with Garvey. I can definitely feel the same sentiments here. With that being said, membership, everybody, back to these events. We are here and we are active and we are outside. We have every Tuesday at the Amanala Grill. Me and President John, we are there. And let me tell you something, even with the turnouts that have been, is still, as I may say, quote unquote, a vibe. We are still accepting, vendors. Please come out and give your crafts to the community. Please invite your family members. You all, and I know it's a Tuesday, you know, everybody's, you know, that Tuesday is just, you know, trying to get everybody worked in and get comfortable to come out on that Tuesday. But please, you know, if you can, if you are able, you know, come out and support your local membership. And I promise you, it's a lot of information that's given out. It's a lot of information there that we have for you all. We are still needing volunteers for our upcoming youth curriculum starting in January. Our youth initiative, more so to say, and I'm very excited about that. We have a mentorship going on. We teach so much to the children about Garveyism, about African arts and African literature, and you know, and so many other things that I can, you know, just go on and on and on about. But like I said, just if you come out and see what we have going on, it will give you everything from top to bottom that's going on in the Black community from here in Atlanta and on across the board about different divisions nationally. And another thing I wanted to mention, I want to say hello to all the other divisions on the call tonight. I see you, Washington. I see you, some other people. I just want to say greetings to you all. And also, if you have any information, could you please forward that to President John, and that we can get our community, you know, involved and let them know what's going on with our partnering cities and, you know, our neighboring divisions and so on and so forth, because we are all connected, and we just want to keep that engagement going for everybody here in the city of Atlanta. So I'm going to wrap this up. Please, everybody, Liberty Hall every Tuesday from 3 to, well, you can say 10. I'll say 7. President John is there doing the lectures. Doing the African course of philosophy, African course of philosophy, from 8 to 10. He'll be doing that live class, which is really exciting to be there, to be in the energy of it. Like I said, from 3 to 7, the vendors. If you're a food vendor, let me tell you now, come on and sign up and vend. We got a special going for all vendors right now, actually, and we'll have more information to you when we get information from you. So be sure that you get into contact with me or President John for that. And a lot of people come up there looking for food. They be ready to eat first. That's the first thing they want to do. They want to come up there, they want to get them a plate, and then they want to see what else we got going on up there. So food vendors, you are highly encouraged to come and, you know, vend what you have and so on and so forth. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, but it's imperative, come out and show your love. If you can't show your love, then please donate your contributions and to the Cashapp and PayPal that we have available, and President John will post that. But more so, monetary involvement is important, but your physical presence is really more important because of the information that we have and the things that we're doing, and just we're just going up from here. And it just be nice if you all could be a part of this and, you know, just participate and come on out and see us on a Tuesday. So Liberty Hall every Tuesday, the giving of gratitude, November 21st. Come out best dressed in your best. because we're giving out awards and we want to show our appreciation to the community and all of our pillars who do show their support and give their contributions to the UNIA-ACL, because we're very, very appreciative, very appreciative for each and every one of you. So come out and, you know, give them their flowers, what flowers are due. And we'll keep you all informed from the events that we have on there. We do have a Kwanzaa event in December. We're going to do Emoja, and that is the unity, and that's the coming together of the community and the race, just what the UNIA is. So it's a perfect day. You know, it fell on the perfect day for all of us. So that's all I want to say. Peace, love, blessings, race first, love each and every one of you. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. If y'all need any information, please get in touch with President John, or you can email me. It is on the flyer. So race first, y'all.
Race first. Thank you, Lady President. Excellent job. Doing an excellent job helping us with the events. And thank you again. Just a general request to the community. These are things that we've talked about over the years, is having a brick and mortar and having a place to come together and fellowship. Now that we've gotten there, it's time for us to support the work that has been done. And another thing, the Tuesday, yes, it is on a Tuesday. We can't, you know, our liberation is not going to be a weekend warrior endeavor. We're not going to reach our goals just by working on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We need to have programs throughout the week. We need to have after school programs. We should be having political education programs, you know, charitable programs. These are things that, you know, these are things that are needed 7 days a week. And we can't just wait until, you know, fair weather warriors to when things are nice and the weather is acceptable. And we have spare time, and now we can support an event. We have to have a level of sacrifice. Not everything is going to be easy, but if it's something that is really important to us, then we will make the necessary sacrifices so that we can make it a reality. So thank you, Lady President, again for echoing that request. And, you know, waiting for, at this point, the ball is in the court of the membership and the supporters. We've secured the facility. We've got the dates. There will be several events throughout the remainder of the year, as well as starting out early 2024. So it's up to us at this point to simply support. Any questions, comments for our Lady President?
Y'all sure? Let me know now. don't be too scared to speak up, because like I said, we have a lot of information that we're giving out, because we're doing a lot of stuff for our youth. We are really touching down, and we are really putting this information into our youth. We know it takes a village. That is a real thing, and that is what we are doing. So we are looking for each and everybody that could reach out. The Moorish Science Temple, I'm looking forward to getting those permission slips from you so that we can educate our children on where we come from and how we get there, even if they don't choose to keep it as a religion or something of a spirituality. Let them know that this is a part of our history. This is where we come from as well. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with our youth. I'm looking forward to sharing the mentorship with our youth. So a lot of this stuff, like, the grown folks, if you don't want to come out, you're too busy, you got to work, we understand that, but at least bring the children and let the children get, as much information as they possibly can, because there's so much going on in the world today. They need as much positive reinforcement as they can possibly get. So, look forward to that. And we're looking forward to each and every one of you who have those African crafts and leaderships, and there's just so many things to bring to the table for our youth. We have those positions open, and we have a place for you. We have a place for you. We have a time for you. We have that for you here in the UNIA-ACL Division 421. We have made it, y'all. We are here. So, don't be scared to step up and bring your arts and your crafts and your talents and your education and your knowledge and all that you have. We have it. We have a place for you. So I'm looking forward. I'm so passionate. I'm so excited to see each and every one of you come to the table with all that you have. Listen, I got a crew for you. You already need a startup kit. I got one for you over here on my end. So just know that we are ready and we are active. And I'm very, very excited to hear from each and every one of you. Like I said, do not be scared. Don't hesitate. Send me an email. Send me an email if you have any questions, and I promise you I'll get that information over to you because we have tons of it. So just let us know that, you know, whatever you need, and everything's gonna be just fine. Race first, y'all. Love y'all.
Race first. Yeah. So as I said earlier, we're in the right place at the right time, and we've got the right leadership. So there's no time for excuses at this point. We've got, you know, full support to move forward with the ideas and the plans and the goals that we've expressed. So it's time to make it a reality. Any other officers have anything that they would like to share before we move to our members?
Yes, President John.
First Vice President, Brother Macias, greetings.
So, are you able to open up the link that I put in the chat, President John?
Yes, I can.
Share it real quick. I just did want to, with all the events that be going on, we want to definitely create avenues for people to participate as best as possible. So we do have a 421 app here. Has the events, 3 different events there, and you are able to register for the event that's coming up. Thanks, President John. The main thing I want to talk about quick there, we have the HEC registration here as well. We will, can you click that one, President John? Choose HEC registration for me. I want to remind everybody that we are having our HEC coming up. When you put your name in here, it is going to ask you if you will be attending the event and if you will be traveling with us, yes or no. If you do plan on going to HEC, I do want to encourage each and every one of you to fill this form out as soon as possible. Let me know how many guests are you coming with you so that we can prepare our transportation for that event in April. So definitely, and of course, we have, if you go back, President John, all of our other events we do have listed here. As we are telling people about our events, if you we want to get a commitment right away. The link is in the chat. Save it. Once you click on that link, it's going to ask you to download this app to your phone. You can get that person's commitment right then and there to register to the event. For our Tuesday event is on that list. The Black Family event, and also our Give It Thanks event is on that list for them to choose from, and just make a commitment. You know, if it's a soft commitment, it's not paid or anything. But just give people the opportunity to get involved.
Don't give me the water, Dad.
But I definitely wanted to just quickly touch on HAC for the most part. I'll put a link in the chat for everybody to just kind of grab and go through it and offer their suggestions, comments on how I can get better, anything like that. Definitely, we just wanted to make sure we had something. That was the main thing I wanted to focus on was HEC and let people know that to go ahead and RSVP as soon as possible. Right first.
First, excellent work, First Vice President. You know, not dropping the ball on responsibilities. We had talked about HEC. And HEC, for those that are not aware, High Executive Council, second largest meeting of the UNIA throughout the year. It will take place in April. I think you had the dates, April 18th to 20th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, next year, 2024. So excellent job, Brother Macias. That's exactly what we needed. Now that we have this document, this database, we can, I want to first, bring it to our officers, get commitment from our officers. And then once we got our officers on board, we can share it with our general membership and see if general membership. But this is really good, really a good tool that would be very helpful. Basis. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? First.
Any questions, comments for our First Vice President?
Yes. Where do we find this form?
I put the link in the chat. I will be. I'm supposed to. We had got approved for a domain. I will be getting the domain to make it a lot easier for us, and then of course we'll send it out. But the link is in the chat right now. To get directly to it, please click it, and it will. When you click on the link, it'll ask you if you want to download the app to your phone right away by just adding it to your home screen.
So yeah, right now it's the link that Brother Macy has sent out. So we have to kind of formalize that link. And you know, I mean, the link itself may be good enough to share the way it is, but if we want to change it to a different named hyperlink or a QR code or whatever it may be, that's on us. But Brother Macy has done the work of creating the app, you know, creating the options within the app. And he's sharing that with us. So I think it's up to us to kind of take it and run with it from here. Brother Mason, would you agree or disagree?
Oh yeah, definitely agree. But I think in order to pass it out, sometimes we may want to just get the name, get a domain name for it, so we can just tell them and they can type it right in, like UNIA421app.com or something like that.
I got you. Any other questions, comments for First Vice President? Upcoming events and registration for upcoming events.
Great idea.
Yes, I agree. I gotta register for all of them. Okay. Thank you, First Vice President. Any other officers have anything that they would like to share with our membership?
Yes, briefly, yesterday, November the 11th, in African history, in 1831.
Another Nat.
Yes, Jerusalem, Virginia, African warrior, Nat Turner was hung. Just an anniversary.
Yes, sir.
Race first.
Race first. Yeah, we were just talking about this earlier today. President Ross, myself, Brother Art, going through the Whirlwind newsletter and significant things that happened on this day in our history, and that was definitely one that was in my mind. Was Nat Turner's transition to the ancestral realm. Thank you for that reminder, Attorney Motep. Okay. All right, we will move to member share. We are already 16 minutes past our meeting time. Brothers, as we know, we have to be good listeners and we allow our sisters to speak first. And with that, I done lost my participants tab. Here we go. With that, let me see. Do we have any sisters? Sister Anna. Sister Anna, member number 460. Sister Anna, are you there? Okay. All right. Shan Jones. Shan Jones.
Hello, everyone. I just want to let you know that I enjoyed the presentation, and thank you to the brother Heru, who cleared up a lot of mishaps, things that I've been hearing, and I'm just so glad and grateful. And I will be contacting you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Shan.
And thank you, John, for inviting him.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
I've been trying to, coordinate this for some time now. And hopefully this won't be the last appearance.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. With any other sisters on the line, Sister Diane, did you have anything that you wanted to share from a member standpoint, just a member share standpoint?
Just that we're steadily adding membership, and that I really enjoyed tonight's meeting and just being in fellowship with everyone. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Sister Diane. Excellent job. Yeah, excellent job. Any other sisters on the call before we move to our brothers? Any other sisters would like to share before we move to our brothers? All right. With that, we'll go to our special guest, Brother Heru. Was there anything that you'd like to share with the community, just in general, any upcoming events or anything we should be aware of?
Islam peace, race first. Yes, definitely. Towards the end of the month, we have to solidify the date. I'll make sure I get the date to you, but we're working on a community giveaway. Well, we're just, packaging up toiletries and, basic necessities, for those, who may be less fortunate than us, of our people, to give out in the community. We have not had, we don't have a flyer as of yet, but we should by this coming weekend. So I'll make sure, and we're shooting for the end of this month to do that. Aside from that, January 7th, we're going to, use to observe Prophet Noble Drew Ali's birthday for the 8th, in honor of the 8th. So the flyer for that is, is in, the process as well. So, of course, everyone from the UNIA is definitely welcome, but we're going to send a call out. We're having a smaller gathering than we usually do, but, but yet still, we want the family present, though. We would like the family present. So as of right now, on the immediate, the short range, that's about it. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Grand Sheik. So sounds like we got a third event for October on the way. Black Family Day on the 18th, Giving of Gratitude on the 21st, and we'll be on the lookout for Moorish Science Temple giveaway at the end of the month. So just keep that in mind and make sure you have that marked. Well, at least the first two, because we got dates, but be prepared for the date for that third event, and make sure you mark that on your calendar. All right, we will keep it going. Let's see, brothers. Dr. Shams. Greetings, Dr. Shams. You're always one of our first members on the call.
Raise first.
Raise first, Dr. Shams. How you doing?
I'm good. I don't have much to say. It was a good presentation, although I must agree to disagree with a few points. I won't bring that up here because I don't want to prolong anything that might cause confusion.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, that's about all I had to say for this evening. Everybody knows about my website. It's the first one in the chat, the first number in the chat. And my email, my phone number. So if anybody wants to help with anything, anybody needs any information or anything, feel free. Peace and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. We always appreciate your support. So it's Dr. Shams. Who was Motorola Moto G Play?
Abdul Aziz.
Abdullah Aziz. Okay. Greetings, brother Abdul. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Anything that you'd like to share with the family?
I didn't have nothing much to say tonight, except, I appreciate, being involved with this movement is doing for people. Just, basically big ups to everyone that's putting down their thing, making sure everything's going right and operating right. You know what I'm saying? I'm still, working with people here in Indianapolis, and trying to keep everything up to par. What my trouble was that I was having trouble getting in contact with people because I lost my phone and it had everybody's contact in it. And I'm just trying to get back into motion with things, you know, getting in contact with brothers and sisters, and so, you know, we can communicate and, you know, start pulling this humanity together, you know what I'm saying, together to better our future.
Yes, sir. Anything that you need from us, anything we can help you with at this time?
Just right now, I was can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I wanted to get the lady president's email address or whatever she can get in contact with her, and any other brothers got any numbers or anything that they wanted to leave, or, you know what I'm saying, I wanted to say that while she was after she got through talking, but I couldn't unmute my phone.
I understand. Lady President, if you would like, you can share your email with the brother. I'm going to put my phone number in the chat.
Okay.
It's actually on the flyers. So if you have our event flyers, my contact information is on the flyer. My brother.
How do I get the event flyer?
You didn't get the email for today's meeting?
I don't think I probably did or didn't. I ain't for sure. I ain't checked my email.
What's your email?
If you click the link that's in the chat, the flyer is in there on there too. So just go right to it.
Prince Abdul Ali Aziz at gmail.com.
Wow. Okay. So I got your email in the system, but I did not have you attached as a Division 421 member. So no, you did not get that latest email. I'll forward it to you right now. And
okay.
as First Vice President said, the link that he put in the chat will also have the flyers.
Oh, all right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Brother Abdul. We will keep moving. 8:25. Let me see. Brother Eric. Greetings, Brother Eric. How you doing?
What's going on?
Anything you want to share with the family?
Nothing that's not just going on about just how interesting all this stuff is, but I do want to ask, when you said two things that kind of go together. You guys are open to like, you know, you guys are doing programs and events and stuff like that.
Yes,
but
sir.
Also in the now I know it's the original one, but in the Constitution it was given stuff that was like, it was given like guidelines to how, like, the minimums that it should have. Are those did those get amended? Are those the same? Like, what are the minimum?
When you say minimums, what are you talking about, like salary? What kind of minimums you talking?
No, not salary. It was saying like budgets. Like, it says when coming to with something, it has to have like this, and this at least before it even hits a point. If that makes any sense.
I gotta go into the you gotta let me know which.
That's okay. That's what I'm saying. I don't have anything besides those. This stuff is all really cool. I like learning. It lines up with a lot of things that I do anyway, and it mends really well. So I don't have anything to say besides those. So those questions I'll just send to you guys.
Okay, and I'm gonna get you a copy of the amended Constitution as well. It'll be I'll give you, before I see you and give you a physical copy, I'm gonna send you a digital copy to your email where you can review it. But thank you, Brother Eric.
All right, most definitely.
All right, we'll keep moving. Next Brother Andrew. Greetings, Brother Andrew.
Greetings, Brother John. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, my brother. How you doing?
Doing well. You know, not much to say. I just wanted to know if there's any way, because I was looking for the Race First book by Dr. Tony Martin.
Yes, sir.
I know Ross Marvin had sent it to me before. I was wondering, is there any way I could get it again? Because I was looking for it on my email. I couldn't find it.
It's a digital version.
Yeah.
President Ross, you can you help Brother Andrew with that? I'm not aware of that one. I got the digital message to the people, but not race first. Ross Marvin, you there?
Oh boy, I was on mute. I thought y'all could hear me. But let me see if I can get it now, and I'll go ahead and post it in the chat, the digital version for Andrew, Eric, and anybody else who needed it. Let me go do that now. Give me 1 second.
In the chat. Okay, I appreciate it, Brother Ross.
Let me see if I can.
So we're looking for race first, right? Digital version?
Yeah,
message to the people. Or message to the people, because I know Brother Eric was looking for message to the people.
Race first.
I'm looking
We're
for
race
any
first?
text I can get.
Yeah, race first.
Okay.
I put the Constitution in the chat. I just dropped that in there. So it's a PDF, and I'm gonna get the message to the people link, and I'll drop that in as well.
You have the message to the people digital link, President John?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you can put it in the chat?
Yes. Yes.
Great.
Just a moment. Awesome. Okay. Got the link.
Okay, I just put race first in the chat too, the digital version of race first.
Y'all getting free books and stuff, man. I know you pay. Y'all better pay y'all dues. That's all I'm saying. Pay your dues. And it's good free information. Okay. Thank you, Brother Andrew. Brother Abdul. Let's see, is there anyone else that did not get a chance to share that would like to share? I think we went through everyone. President Ross, you have anything in closing?
No, I just want to big up Grand Sheik, Brother Heru. Excellent presentation. You talking about our President John, got a whole bunch of knowledge. You just remind me a lot of him. So when y'all two get together, brothers and sisters, watch out. The Grand Sheik and our president, big things gonna happen, man. Thanks again, Grand Sheik. Race first.
Race first. With that, I think we can close out. Does everybody have the links? Everybody copied the links from the chat. What in the world? How come when I do that?
Hold on 1 second. Can I just send a message to Grand Sheik real quick before we disconnect?
Of course.
Okay. What is it called when you ask someone to send you money on Cashapp?
Request for funds?
Right. So Grand Sheik, for some reason, my Cash App ain't sending money. So I'm going to ask you if you can request at my Cash App what I put into the message to you. Request it when you get a chance, so that way I can approve it so you receive that contribution. And thanks again, Grand Sheik.
Yes, sir. I definitely will, and I'll make sure it gets right to the temple treasury. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay, I just sent you the message. Just want to make sure you receive it, the Cash App to request to that.
I received it.
Okay, great, great. So when you get a chance, request that at that Cash App so I can approve it and you'll receive that too.
Yes, sir. Will do. Thank you for your charitable donation, sir.
Racers. That's it, President, and I'm good now.
Thank you, President Ross. Any other closing comments? 33 minutes past 8 o'clock.
Oh, yes. One other thing. The Whirlwind newsletter will be going out in less than 15 minutes after the meeting's over. So everybody check your email. Make sure you click on the Whirlwind newsletter. Is Brother Art on the call? I don't see him.
He is.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, yes, he's here. Earlier today, President John and myself and Brother Art was just checking out the open rates for the Whirlwind. And Brother Art, we got to badge it up to him and badge it up to our Grand Sheik, because Brother Art, his open rate with the Whirlwind newsletter since he's been signed up is 100%. He has not missed one Whirlwind newsletter. So we thank you, Brother Art, for reading our division's newsletter. No, everybody else, I don't think they else, not even, I checked my open rate and I'm only at 75%. So we got to increase our open rate with the Whirlwind newsletter. It's going on next hour, next 15 minutes. And Grand Sheik, I looked and I seen that you are on the mailing list for the Whirlwind. And it says so far in the past, I ain't going to say your open rate, but it says you have read our Whirlwind newsletter. So I want to thank you for that. Okay, so look out for the issue for tonight, because you're a special feature in today's Whirlwind newsletter. So that's all I want to say. And is it okay, Grand Sheik, if I put your email address as contact information next to your bio?
Absolutely. I just want to make sure it's the proper email address, the one I gave earlier, msta19atlanta@gmail.com.
Yes, that's the one I got.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, brother.
Okay, you're welcome. That's all I have, President John.
Okay. Thank you, President Ross. Brother Eric, what was where is this here? Brother Eric, what's your question? I don't understand that question.
He was talking about a newsletter and how to subscribe to the mailing list and to support that a little more. I wanted to know he said click something and I only see the book as the most recent link.
Yeah, no, he's gonna send it out. Actually, he doesn't have your email. President Ross, I got an email that we need to add to your Whirlwind contacts. Well, a few actually.
Okay, so put them in the chat if you can, or send them to me by email.
Did you add the people from Garvey Day?
Yes, they've been added.
Okay, yeah, Eric A. McGee. Just make sure he's on the list to receive the newsletter.
Okay, is his information in the chat?
Yeah, he just put it in there. eric.a.mcgee.ii@gmail.
Okay, sound good. I'll make sure. And if anybody else that never received the Whirlwind, you can put your information in the chat too, and I'll add it. Let me see. I'll go ahead and add Eric now. Okay, but I don't see Eric here. So once I copy this, you're good to close, President John.
Okay.
And Brother Eric, look out in your email within the next 15 minutes or so. You will receive the Whirlwind.
I actually don't mean to cut everybody off, but my laptop just told me it's dying. So this is gonna end in a little bit. But thank you guys for everything.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Eric.
Hopefully you can get it before then.
Absolutely.
And for everyone else, please go through your emails and open up your Whirlwind newsletters from the past, and just open them up so that we can have more accurate member engagement. So that will help with our information and database. That's all I've got. If that's all, Lady President, would you please do an honor of closing us out?
Absolutely. All right, everybody, would you write this to your nearest red, black, and green flag? One God.
One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One
destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
For the Africans.
For the Africans.
Those at home.
Those at home.
And those abroad.
And those abroad.
First,
Race first. Thank you, everyone.
Race first.
Race first.
Thank you, everyone.
Race first.
Excellent.
Have a beautiful week, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for coming.
All right,
Peace,
Brother
love,
John,
and gratitude. Race first.
Brother John and Raz, I'll be getting in contact with y'all when I get a chance.
Sure, you got my information.
Okay.
All right, shutting down. Everybody have a blessed week. Race first.